Just this fat guy who can't even get off his own horse, which I wrote here.
Yeah.
A king who cannot get off his own horse.
Yeah.
His horse is too high. Damn.
Oh, what?
And that's
what?
Wow. The hell.
Oh.
Oof. Nah, like I'm like hooked now.
Thank you for your patronage.
Thank you!
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Mentally Gone Reacts. My name is Callie Lacerda.
And I'm Gabriela Lopes.
And today we will be jumping into
Game of Thrones, the very first episode.
Aha. It has been highly recommended. I don't know what that was, by the way.
Aha, yeah.
That's my new catchphrase. It's aha. And I just really hurt my hand. Like, I feel like it's gonna get red
I
now.
could hear the echo too in the room.
Can you guys do this? Look, hold on. Super random intro.
Nice. Handmade instrument.
Wait. It's hard to get the exact. Oh, I did it.
Wow.
This is my mating call.
It's his bird call.
Do I hear an answer? Okay.
I can't whistle. I only know how to do this one. But I won't do it. I won't do it when it. But people do it with their fingers.
Yeah.
I just go
I never understood how do you learn that? It's how do you because it feels like something so only the person who's doing it would know exactly what to do. I can't teach anybody exactly how to do this.
Exactly.
It's kind of like finding the perfect little spot.
That's why whenever they try to teach whistling, where they're like, just put your tongue on the roof of your mouth or whatever.
I'm not gonna put my
there are
tongue
people
anywhere.
that are
Yeah,
and they still don't get it because you can't. You'll only get it if you figure it out with your movements,
Yeah, practice the movements with your tongue,
and
become more proficient with your tongue, and then you can learn how to whistle. And also this one, you have to know exactly where to put your mouth on the hole.
Yeah, whoa. Oh, okay. And now that leads us to our introduction.
So we were teaching you guys how to whistle. This is the first episode of Game of Thrones. You guys have been recommending this a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, because we've been asking what's the first series that we should start on the channel? And we even ran a poll, and most people want us to do Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it was either between Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, which has also been another highly recommended one. Mm-hmm. But we just kind of flipped a coin and just went with this, and we're ready to start.
And we're ready to just jump into it. You guys know the rules. You guys know what we do here on the channel. We keep our handy dandy notepads because this is Blue's Clues for adults. Yeah. My favorite show growing up, I think, was Caillou. Caillou, yeah.
I'm just a little kid and I have a big ass head. I'm always crying. I'm Caillou. And that's the remix.
Deixa passar, não olha, nem mexe. And then you see Caillou just twerking in the middle, and then he's with his bald head. He's like,
MC Caillou.
MC Caillou, yeah. That probably exists. There's definitely a funk artist called MC Caillou.
Oh my gosh.
But there are theories about Caillou, super random too, right? That he's a cancer patient, and that's why his parents treat him that way, and it's all a story of him being a cancer patient.
Oh, wow, that's sad.
Yeah, it definitely flips a switch on the levity of the show. But all right, so you guys know the rules. We keep our handy dandy notebooks. We try to jot down any symbolism, anything interesting that catches our eye, our mentally gone eye, because here it's never wrong to be mentally gone. So we make a lot of wild connections, right?
Yeah.
We connect things in ways maybe it doesn't resonate completely. At times it makes no sense, but that's the fun of thinking freely, and that's what we believe in. It's kind of like we're painting a canvas, and you guys are also painting with us. Yeah. And we just try to build understanding on everything that we experience.
Just having fun,
having fun while we're doing it. And being completely mentally gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Mentally gone. Never wrong.
To be mentally gone. All right. So with all that being said, you guys can always find early access and uncut reactions on Patreon, but you do have to have your own original copy so that you can sync up with the copy that we are watching, and then we can create an environment where it feels like we are watching it together as friends. So that's available on Patreon, and to all the patrons, a special thank you for supporting us throughout this journey. You guys are in for a lot of treats.
Yeah.
Moving forward, like a lot.
Yeah, and like back to back too.
Back to back. It's like
back to back.
It's like jab jab ba. It's
like I don't even know.
From people who would do one episode a month, maybe two, at our best 4, like one each week, right? You guys are in for a treat. Yeah. It's going to change a little bit.
We're ready. We're ready to go.
It's going to change a little bit. Merry Christmas is all I'm going to say. Merry Christmas to all of us.
And this episode's called Winter is Coming. So that's like, I feel like this is perfect because we're leading into winter because we're from Jersey, Jersey. And Jersey winters are pretty brutal.
Yes.
And like this sounds like a perfect kind of show. I'm ready for some winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
Santa Claus is coming. You know I love that season. That is my favorite. Oh, man.
I just like to eat a lot.
Hibernation.
Yeah, hibernation, cold weather, like especially watching reactions, and that's part of the reason why, you guys are in for a treat because winter, we're going to be snowed in, so turn on the camera and just knock out a bunch of stuff. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, thank you everybody at Patreon. Thank you everybody on YouTube. We are on the road. We try to set like a goal, right? So like, let's see if we can cross 100,000 subs and become that, like maybe we could reach that sometime soon.
So
and
we're going to do it.
And create a community on YouTube where you guys are equally as mentally gone as we are. Yeah. And we're all just mentally goners, and we all just found each other on this weird journey of life on the interwebs, and we're all trying to just connect and share positivity. That's what we try to prioritize here on the channel. So anything other than that will be expelled, expelliarmus, expelled from sight, and just keep it good vibes, high vibrations, Yeah,
and then you're all invited to the wedding. Possibly.
Okay. Possibly and definitely. Ooh. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I already put mine early.
I know.
I was ready.
Ooh. Is that Matt Damon? That kind of looks like Matt Damon, right?
Yeah, it does.
Is that his name, Matt Damon? I think it is.
Yeah.
All right, so we're in the Dark Ages, right? It seems. Torches, horses.
Yeah, very medieval.
Medieval, yeah, that's the word. I always thought to myself, like, I always wondered if I would be able to hold one of those torches, because I always fear that it's going to just catch fire, like your entire body.
Yeah, catch some wind and just...
Yeah, I mean, like, look at how, they just, as if it's not... Damn.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, look at the perspective shot with the horses. 3 horses. Look like ants. Alright, so winter seems like it's here already.
Yeah, winter's not coming.
Winter's been here for a while, it seems.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color horse?
Black.
Black is the most majestic, I feel. White is cool.
Yeah.
But black horses look crazy.
Yeah. And there's like a story, like a children's story. I used to read Black Beauty, I think it's called.
This one's beautiful.
She's a beauty. Oh, gosh.
All right, so we got 3 horsemen, 3 musketeers. This is shot beautifully, right? For 2011?
Yeah, this is all filmed outside, right? Because this looks way too real.
I know, like this isn't in the CGI studio. Can't be. Oh, are those human parts? Oh my god, somebody had a barbecue.
Oh my gosh.
Fresh picanha, huh?
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Ah!
Oh my god.
Who's that? Oh my god. Oh, I thought she was alive. Oh my goodness. Oof. So there was a slaughter. Oh, it's in a shape. What shape is that?
What do you expect? They're savages. One lot steals a goat from another lot. Before you know it, they're ripping each other to pieces.
I never seen wildlings do a thing like this.
Wildlings.
Wildlings, huh?
How close did you get?
Close as any man would.
We should head back to the wall.
Do the dead frighten you?
Our orders were to track the wildling. We tracked them. They won't trouble us no more.
You don't think he'll ask us how they died? Get back on your horse.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I would trust that guy's intuition.
They even killed the children.
It's a good thing we're not children. You want to run away south, run away. Of course, they will behead you as a deserter if I don't catch you first.
Sheesh.
Get back on your horse. I won't say it again.
It's always this, huh?
Because they kind of have to go back home because they can't survive in the woods in the middle of the winter, right?
Yeah, it's like, but there's always that stubborn kind of, you know?
But right there in that engagement, you see that there's a lot of like leverage being held, you know, and hierarchy of power, choices. Like they could have both overtaken them and then ran away, but they wouldn't have anywhere to run.
Your dead men seem to have moved camp.
Oh, it's not there.
They were here.
What?
See where they went.
Was he hallucinating? the sound design is scary, right? I'm like pretending that I'm comforting you, but really I just want like somebody's hands on.
Some grounding. Like,
I just want like
oh my gosh.
Oh shoot.
Oh, I thought that was like an organ.
Me too. I thought it was a liver or something.
What is it?
Oh.
What is that?
Oh.
Oh no, when the horses panic.
Yeah, that's always a bad sign, right?
Animals.
Oh, the girl. She's not stuck to a tree anymore, dude.
No.
Nope. Nope.
Oh shoot.
Ah, that's gonna haunt me for a few days.
Oh, so they're like zombies.
Yeah, right? Like they're undead.
Because she was dead. Her eyes didn't look like that.
Whoa.
Oh my god, what is that? What are those? There's multiple, you saw?
Yeah, it's like an army of them.
Actually, I can't really tell. Oh my gosh. Look, they're both running.
Did they run towards each other? No, right? Oh, they did. Wow. What the heck, man?
What the heck is that?
I don't know. Sheesh.
Run.
And it's funny because the guy foreshadowed, right? Oof, what an intro.
And then to the theme song.
That kind of looks like a star. It kind of looks like the sun, right?
Yeah. Wow, it's like the map.
This kind of reminds me of the Monopoly.
It does.
It's like a board game, right?
Yeah.
King's Landing.
Oh, this is actually pretty cool. It's supposed to be literally the map.
Winterfell. King's Landing.
Oh, look, it's a wolf. We got a wolf at home.
And there's a tree of life.
With a face, you saw?
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, there's an epic battle unfolding. And then that's probably the wall we saw. Yeah, the wall. Interesting how it's called Winterfell. It's like Winterfell.
Oh my gosh. Damn, they would really take their time with intros and like the actual sound of it. Like so, it feels so cinematic.
Compared to today, right? It's like a quick 15-second intro and stuff. Especially TV series. I couldn't make out what the 4 animals were on the corners, but there were 4 animals on the corners of the thing. Which kind of reminds me of the 4 corners of the throne. In the Bible, it says that it was like 4 creatures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like something like that.
I didn't even know that. I saw a wolf. That's the one.
I saw a deer, and I think I saw a lion and a dragon. And maybe something else. I don't know.
Oh, look. He's not in the woods?
Is he carrying the guy's head?
Ugh, I wouldn't. Oh, look.
Winterfell.
We're going to see what it looks like.
Oh, you suck.
Go on. Father's watching.
Hmm.
And your mother.
And your mother. Your mother's watching. Don't screw up, kid.
Fine work as always. Well done.
Thank you.
That you've managed to get in these calls.
Oh, somebody's jealous. That would be me in art class.
Oh my gosh. I needed to have the best drawing. I have felt that.
Damn, dude.
That would be me. I have such terrible aim.
Marksman at 10.
Huh. Ooh.
Keep practicing, Bran.
Marksman at 10.
Go on.
Aww.
Don't think too much, Bran.
Just flow, right? It's the flow.
Relax your bolam.
Relax. Woo! Oh.
Oh. Being by a girl, the worst feeling as a boy. As a young boy, that'll make
Yeah.
villains, bro.
Yeah.
Villains are made from that.
In from the hills, captured a deserter from the Night's Watch.
Deserter. Damn.
Get the lads to saddle their horses.
Do you have to?
He swore an oath, Cat. Tell Bran he's coming too.
Ned, 10 is too young to see such things.
He won't be a boy forever. And winter is coming.
Ooh.
Winter is
I
coming.
feel it. It's
I
getting
feel it.
chilly.
I know. So he said father is watching and your mother.
Yeah, so I think they might have different moms.
That was usually normal, right?
Yeah, men going to war and
Especially kings, like they would have multiple wives. Damn, this guy survived, but then is getting repaid with beheading.
What?
Either way, right? Because he's a deserter, just like the guy said.
I know I broke my oath. And I know I'm a deserter.
But he has a good reason.
Should have gone back to the war and won them, but I saw what I saw. I saw the White Walkers. People need to know. If you get word to my family, tell them I'm no coward. Tell them I'm sorry.
Man, that's really sad. He was just scared.
And it's on a tree, which is highly symbolic.
They just pulled it out of like a carcass.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see over there.
Yeah.
In the name of Robert of the House Baratheon, first of his name, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm.
7 kingdoms.
The House Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North, sentence you to die.
Ooh, they're not afraid to show it.
Very graphic. Very graphic.
Oh,
so
very
Did what?
tense.
So he's like his guide.
Do you hear? Like, there's no music or anything. Like, you're in the nature. You're in the moment.
You're standing there with them.
Yeah. Whew.
I think it's very beautiful how they lived back then. Very honorable, you know, very structured, very orderly, very respectable, and happy too. Like they were happy people.
You understand why I did it,
John said he was a deserter.
but do you understand why I had to kill him?
Oh, where's the old way?
The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword.
Sure he saw the White Walkers.
The White Walkers have been gone for thousands of years.
So he was lying.
Oh.
The madman sees what he sees.
Oof. Kids have a good sense of intuition, though.
Yeah, they do. Ooh, look at how graphic. It's like a dead deer with like worms coming, like eating it.
What is it?
Oh my gosh.
Mountain lion?
No mountain lions in these woods.
No mountain lions in these woods.
Wow, they really like put the detail.
It looks real. It looks like they actually killed an animal. to film it.
No animals were injured during the making of this series.
Yeah, debatable. Huh? Oh my god.
What?
A wolf with pups.
Look, they're alive.
Oh, these kind of remind me of like huskies, because I've always owned huskies.
It's a dire wolf, Suffolk beast.
Oh, the deer.
South of the wall. Now there are 5. You want to hold it?
Where will they go? Their mother's dead.
Won't belong down here.
Better a quick death. They won't last without their mother.
Oh my gosh.
No!
Put away. Take orders from your father, not you.
Please, Father.
I'm sorry, Brad.
What?
There are 5 pups, 1 for each of the Stark children. The direwolf is a sigil of your house.
Oh, shoot.
Wow.
You'll train them yourselves, feed them yourselves. And if they die, you'll bury them yourselves.
Oh my gosh.
These are definitely huskies, right? Because, come on. or are they actually wolf puppies?
I'm not a Stark.
Oh.
Get them.
There you go.
He's not a Stark. Okay. Oh.
What is it? Run to the litter. That one's yours, Snow.
Snow is his name?
His name's Snow?
Snow.
Wow, this one has red eyes.
And it's white.
White.
Like it's completely different than the other ones.
Wow.
That's so crazy.
Snow gets...
Ooh, look at that.
This is kind of reminding me of the Jesserites. Right?
What the heck? What's going on here?
Oh, we got some rituals. Oh, this looks like a ceremony, like a funeral ceremony.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah, they used to put coins on their eyes too, right? Like that was the thing.
Yeah, coins to pay Chiron, I believe. Chiron? The toll to pass through the waters of the afterlife.
What if John Arryn told someone? My husband?
Whatever John Arryn knew or didn't know, it died with him. And Robert will choose a new hand of the king, someone to do his job while he's off balls and hunting.
What? They used to do that with animals back then.
Their days are too long. Their lives are too short.
The hand of the king is like the assistant, right? It's like the right hand.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
So their brother and sister, Lannister, they said, I don't know if I'm spelling it right.
Yeah, Lannister and Stark. With the sigil of a direwolf.
Yeah, and the other place showed that it was called King's Landing.
King's Landing. Okay, got you.
This is the only red tree, it seems.
Yeah, and it's by a lake, and it kind of reminds me of Kung Fu Panda. You know, that scene by the tree.
All these years, and I still feel like an outsider when I come here.
You have 5 northern children. You're not an outsider.
I wonder if the old gods agree.
It's your gods with all the rules.
I am so sorry, my love.
Tell me.
There was a raven from King's Landing. John Arryn is dead. A fever took him.
John Arryn. A fever. People would die over fevers.
Oh no.
Your sister, the boy.
They both have their health. Gods be good. The raven brought more news. The king rides for Winterfell. With the queen and all the rest of them.
He's coming this far north. There's only one thing he's after.
You can always say no, Ned.
Oh, so the king's coming. You got to fix the banquet. Make some scrumptious food.
I'm told he reads all night.
He reads.
Could he possibly drink, a man of his stature?
We brought up 8 barrels of ale from the cellar.
Barrels.
In any case, handles.
Why's your mother so
Old school barbershop.
Yeah, I would be scared to get cut with one of those.
To mink. I hear the prince is a right royal prick.
In the meat
Yeah.
chamber.
Gets stabbed with his right royal prick.
Go on, Tommy, cheer him good. He's never met a girl he likes better than his own hair.
These people have like conditioned hair. Back in the day, like I always expect like fleas and
Yeah,
balding.
like greasiness.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is like blowing in the wind.
Yeah, perfect hair.
Better
right?
than mine.
Better than mine.
What's your secret? Damn, he's at the top of the thing?
Hardcore parkour. This
man.
is the son of Michael Scott. The true heir of Michael Scott.
Parkour.
Hardcore parkour. Oh look, they do grow.
Wow.
Quickly,
They
right?
grow past.
Yeah, see? But that's a husky. Like, that looks like a husky. It looks like Shadow.
He's got 100 loads of people.
How many times have I told you, no climbing? I want you to promise me, no more climbing.
Yeah, that's scary. He's so small.
I promise.
No more climbing.
Do you know what?
What?
You always look at your feet before you lie. Your father. Tell him the king is close.
It's kind of like the story of the Lannisters talking about jumping off a cliff, and then the dad being like, "We don't do that. We don't act as fools." And then here it's like, "Don't jump. Like, no more climbing."
Yeah, but here she knows he's gonna continue doing it, so she's kind of just like,
she's just giving a little hand.
Yeah.
Knowing
like,
that he's going to reach for it again.
Be careful with what you do. Because she's like, I always know when you lie. So I know you're probably going to do it still. But
just be careful.
Don't do it when I'm looking.
Don't let me find out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty cool helmet though, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Where's Arya? Sansa, where's your sister?
Arya.
Sister.
Is it Arya or Arya?
Arya.
Arya. Sansa.
Hey.
She was pretending to be a knight's.
Move.
Oh my god, they're very hostile, these two little ones.
I know. Very feisty. Feisty little bunch. No? Oh, there's a little crush situation.
Uh-oh, brother doesn't like this.
The brother's biting his jaw. Wow.
Damn. Look at their chariot.
Talk about an arrival, right? Man, a grand entrance.
Oh, they all bowed.
Wow, they even put a stool.
Help him get down. Oh my gosh, he looks angry.
Without a word.
Oh, he's the king.
You got fat.
Oh my god. Because I saw him doing like, how about you?
I know, I'm like, hey, look who's talking. Everyone got so quiet.
9 years. Why haven't I seen you? Where the hell have you been?
Guarding the north for you, your grace. Winterfell is yours.
This is the queen.
Huh.
Will you shut up?
Yeah.
Who have we here? It's been Rob.
Rob. Too many names.
Your name is?
Arya.
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 Shows your muscles.
That's Jaime Lannister, the Queen's twin brother.
Would you please shut up?
Twin brother.
Damn.
Jaime.
I thought she might have been a little bit older than him.
My queen.
Ooh. My queen.
Take me to your crypt. I want to pay my respects.
We've been riding for a month, my love. Surely the dead can wait.
Wow, they've been traveling for a month to get here?
What? Yeah, right?
Is that what she meant?
Yeah.
Where's the inn?
Back then, it would take months traveling.
Find the little beast.
They're in the crypts.
You never had to teach you much, but me. You remember me at 16? All I wanted to do was crack skulls and girls. Tell me what was what.
Aye.
It's not his fault I didn't listen. I need you, Ned. Down at King's Landing, not up here where you're no damn use to anybody. Lord Eddard Stark, I would name you the Hand of the King.
Whose days are long.
I'm not trying to honor you. I'm trying to get you to run my kingdom while I eat, drink, and way to an early grave. You help me throne, now help me keep the damn thing. We were meant to rule together. If your sister had lived, we'd have been bound by blood. Well, it's not too late. I have a son, you have a daughter.
Oh, the two looking at each other?
Probably, right? Yeah. It's probably his son.
What's going on?
Caption said, woman moaning.
Yeah.
Oh, something else is happening. Oh.
It is true what they say about the northern girls.
He was okay. He was getting. Oh! They just show it.
Did you?
Okay.
Wow.
About that?
I'm Queen, Lannister's twin brother. They say that he is the most handsome man in the Seven Kingdoms.
The other brother?
Close your eyes.
The Queen has two brothers.
There's the pretty one. And there's the clever one.
Oh, look. The queen has two brothers.
I hear they call him the Imp.
He's the
imp. Oh, it's because he's a little person.
Mm-hmm.
I hear he's a drunken little lecher, prone to all manner of perversions.
And his hair looks like his brother's hair then. Jamie, right?
Yeah.
To you, Lord Tyrion.
Lord
Tyrion. Hold on. Lannister, Tyrion. That's his brother, right? Yeah. Jamie.
My lord?
Should I explain to you the meaning of a closed door house, brother?
You've much.
Look at the sounds in the back. Even he's
heck?
like, okay, this is too much.
I know.
Family trait. Now the Starks are feasting us at sundown.
Feasting us.
These people. I'm sorry. I've begun the feast a bit early, and this is the first.
Oh my gosh.
But since we're short on time, come on,
What
girls.
the heck?
He brought him a feast.
What the heck? A short man with a huge appetite.
See you at sundown.
Wow.
Close the door.
Nope.
Might as well just keep it open. Anybody else want to join?
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy, bro. Oh, he's paying tribute to the ancestors.
Did you have to bury her in a place like this?
Oh, his sister. He was probably in love with his sister.
On a hill somewhere with the sun and the clouds above her.
Oh, wow.
This is where she belongs.
She belonged with me.
Oh, that's sad.
I wonder how she went.
In my dreams, I kill him every night.
It's done, Your Grace. Targaryens are gone.
Not all of them.
Pentos.
Oh, this is across the sea on the map in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Pentos. I was wondering what is Pentos and when does it come into Targaryen. Oh, a lot of names. I suck with names. Daenerys.
A gift from Illyria.
Illyria.
Touch it. Go on. Feel the fabric. Isn't he a gracious host?
We've been his guests for over a year and he's never asked us for anything.
He knows I won't forget my friends when I come into my throne.
Oh, there's another king.
You still slouch.
And they have white hair. Both of them do.
You have a woman's body now.
Oh my gosh.
What's going on here? What is this?
Wow, there's a lot of nudity, huh?
What is this? What am I watching right? What is this? I didn't sign up for this. I got oh wow, look at a water bottle. So interesting. Wow.
This is not safe for YouTube.
I need you to be perfect today.
What the heck?
Can you do that for
Are
me?
they getting married? He said the bride to be, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to wake the dragon, do you?
Oh my
Want to wake the dragon?
No.
She looks so scared.
Yeah, like she's hostage. So I'm assuming these are other kings and queens.
When they write the history of my reign, sweet sister, they will say it began today.
Sweet sister.
Oh my god, I just pieced that. Why was he touching
He
her
was
like
caressing
that?
the nipples of his sweet sister.
Oh my god, he just like undressed her.
Okay.
That's so crazy.
I'm gonna write weird sibling
Dynamic.
I'm like diagnosing these people. Sibling.
Oh, that's
too hot, my lady.
It's too hot. Damn. So she feels nothing. Like that's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah.
There's like nothing behind those eyes in terms of just pure numbness, man. You could feel it. Very great acting in terms of like delivering emotion without saying a word. Not a word was said.
Where is he?
The Dothraki are not known for their punctuality.
Oh, these are like the native men. The Native Americans.
May I present my honored guests, Viserys of House Targaryen, the third of his name, the rightful king of the Andals and the first men.
Oh, he said not all of them.
Daenerys of House Targaryen,
Do you see how long his hair is? When Dothraki are defeated in combat, they cut off their braid so the whole world can see their shame. Khal Drogo has never been defeated.
Wow.
He's a savage, of course, but he's one of the finest killers alive. And you will be his queen.
Come forward, my dear.
Damn, she looks petrified.
Yeah, she's kind of like, it's one of those arranged marriages.
Yeah, it's basically slavery, right? It's like you're gonna do my bidding through you, and it's entirely political.
Form an alliance, right?
Yeah. Because apparently, I guess her brother wants to take back a throne and use her and these brutal men.
My God.
The ceremony is over.
But he didn't say anything. Did he like her?
Trust me, Your Grace. If he didn't like her, we'd know.
What would have you done with her? Would have just like killed her?
Yeah, get another braid added in.
The people drink secret toasts to your health. They cry out for their true king. The Dothraki never stay still for long.
Is it true they lie with their horses?
Oh my gosh.
My apologies if I've given offense.
I know how to play a man like Drogo. I give him a queen, and he gives me an army.
I don't want to be his queen.
Oh, she spoke.
I want to go home.
I want us both to go home. They took it from us. So tell me, sweet sister, how do we go home? With an army. With Khal Drogo's army. I would let his whole tribe you. All 40,000 men and their horses too, if that's what it took.
What the heck? What the heck? What is this? What am I watching? What a weird guy.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's why she looks like the one person that seems to be her family.
Me. What if he thinks I'm ugly?
Stupidest prince that ever...
Stupidest.
Is that a real word? Stupidest? Or stupider?
Yeah, stupidest is, yeah.
Soon, or do we have to wait?
Hush now. Your father hasn't even said yes.
Why would he say no? He'd be the second most powerful man in the kingdoms.
He'd have to leave home. He'd have to leave me.
Aww.
And so would you.
You left your home to come here, and I'd be queen someday. Please make father say yes.
Sounds...
Please. It's the only thing I ever wanted.
To be queen? These movies always make me hungry.
These movies?
Oh, these...
It's our first time watching a series on the channel.
I know.
Wow, look at the feast.
And the crown.
It's just like...
And his wife is looking at him kissing another woman.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Yeah, they're married.
Wow, he's so disrespectful.
He also said that he likes to indulge in women and food. Is he dead yet?
Uncle Benjamin.
Uncle Benjamin.
Oh, you got bigger.
They always say that, family members.
I know, right?
Didn't want to leave you alone with the Lannisters. Find you at the feast.
Lady Stark thought it might insult the royal family to see the bastard in their midst.
Oh my gosh.
You're always welcome on the wall. No bastard was ever refused to see this.
So take me with you when you go back.
John.
Father will let me if you ask him. I know he will.
To the wall, it's where we opened it, right?
The wall isn't going anywhere.
I'm ready to swear your oath.
You don't understand what you'd be giving up. We have no families. None of us will ever father sons.
I don't care about that.
Wow.
Might, if you know what it meant. I better get inside. Rescue your father from his guests. We'll talk later.
So he wants to leave. He wants to go to the wall.
Well, here he's not being treated very well.
He's a bastard.
Preparing for a night with your family. I've always wanted to see the wall.
You're Tyrion Lannister, the Queen's brother?
My greatest accomplishment.
You're Ned Stark's bastard, aren't you? Did I offend you? Sorry. You are the bastard, though.
Lord Eddard Stark is my father.
And Lady Stark is not your mother, making you the bastard.
The bastard. Wow.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
You bastard.
The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt.
That's deep.
About being a bastard.
All dwarves are bastards in their father's eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Cast it out. And his sister called him a little beast. She was like, well, where is that little beast? And that's why I was like, what the heck? So they treat him like he's not human.
He's subhuman,
Yeah,
right? An
yeah.
animal. Wow. Huh.
It's no wonder he's not indulging at the feast either, to be surrounded by fake people, you know?
Did you know him?
Of course I did. Just a lad. But he was tough, Ned. A true ranger. Dire wolves, south of the wall, talk of the walkers. My brother might be the next hand to the king.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, Uncle Benjamin.
How are you? I'm good.
Is this your first time in the north, Your Grace?
Yes. Lovely country.
Doesn't want to talk at all.
I remember how scared I was when Ned brought me up here for the first time.
Hello, little dove.
Little dove?
How old are you?
13, Your Grace.
Wow.
And have you bled yet?
Have you bled yet? Have you become a woman?
Your Grace.
In your dress, did you make it? Such a talent. You must make something for me. I hear we might share a grandchild someday.
I hear the same.
Your daughter will do well in the capital. Such a beauty shouldn't stay hidden up here forever.
Wow. That's interesting, actually.
It's like basic teenage crush.
Yeah, after school.
Would be good to have you in the field. The competition has become a bit stale.
I don't fight in tournaments.
Getting a little old for it.
Oh, there's some.
I don't fight in tournaments. That's when I fight a man for real. I don't act nor I can know.
This sister is...
She's like humiliating all of them.
Oh my gosh.
In front of the prince kid.
In front of the king and queen?
I know, right?
Not proper.
And his name is spelled with 2 B's. Rob is showed in the caption. It's interesting.
I'm a Northman. I belong here with you, not down south in that rat's nest they call the capital.
I won't let him take you.
She's gonna fight the king.
King takes what he wants. That's why he's king.
I'll say, listen, fat man. He belongs to me now.
Oh, he would understand. He seems to know about love.
How did he get so fat?
Yeah.
He only stops eating when it's time for a drink.
A rider in the night from your sister.
Oh, her sister?
Oh, no.
What's she doing at the Eyrie? She hasn't been back there since her wedding.
Uh-oh. What does that mean?
What news?
She's fled the capital. She says John Arryn was murdered.
Oh, conspiracy.
Oh,
She
my...
says the king is in danger.
Wow.
Liza's head would be on a spike right now if the wrong people had found that letter. Do you think she would risk her life, her son's life, if she wasn't certain her husband was murdered?
What the heck? Uh-oh.
Conspiracy.
Let me write
Plot
this down.
thickens. Yeah. Plot.
If this news is true, and the Lannisters conspire against the throne, who but you can protect the king?
They murdered the last hand. Now you want Ned to take the job.
The king wrote for a month to ask for Lord Stark's help.
Wow.
He's the only one he trusts. He swore the king an oath, my lord.
Wow, he has to take the responsibility.
He spent half his life fighting Robert's wars. He owes him nothing. Your father and brother rode south once on a king's demand.
A different time.
It's
Oh
like
my
angels
gosh,
and
yeah.
devils. But who's the angel? Who's the devil?
Different time and different king. Interesting.
Oh, we got dance going on?
Damn, these are real tribal. Like, they're very cultured, these, compared to over there. It's
Yeah,
so
there's a
cold.
lady twerking over there. Very cultured. She's like twerking.
Hey,
What are they? Snakes. A lot of ceremony still, right? Symbolism. What does the snake symbolize? Renewal, transformation, eternal.
oh my gosh, what is that?
Ooh. Do they eat it like that, raw?
They didn't have stoves back then.
Whoa. You can't spend too long without seeing it too.
Hey.
When do I meet with the car? We've been planning the invasion.
Khal Drogo has promised you a crown. You shall have it.
When?
When their omens favor war.
Their omens?
I waited 17 years to get my throne back.
When they're omens?
Yeah.
Yeah, how much of this will go up on YouTube? Oh my god.
Oh my god. Look, and they're just enjoying like a show.
Oh, what is
this? Oh my gosh.
Are they trying to kill each other? Is this Iteoaka?
Oh my gosh. Maybe they're having like a dance.
A Dothraki wedding without at least 3 deaths is considered a dull affair.
What?
I'm just too stunned to say anything.
A small gift for the new Khaleesi.
Khaleesi.
Thank you, sir.
Because his name is Cal, right? She's her.
I served your father for many years. Gods be good, I hope to always serve the rightful king.
Oh, I think I see what's going on.
He's like the hand of her kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Of her father's kingdom. And there are multiple kingdoms, so multiple kings. Ooh, what are these?
Dragon's eggs, Daenerys.
Just like Harry Potter.
Shadowlands beyond a shard.
We did a podcast on
The
eggs.
ages have turned them to stone.
Wow, the ages have turned them to stone.
Thank you, Magister.
The ages have turned them to stone.
So they're petrified.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I would love to go on a vacation to somewhere like this. Beachfront. I feel like we both need a vacation. We could use one.
Yeah. Wow, I haven't been on vacation since 2018.
I know.
Wow, matches her hair.
It does, a white horse. And we saw a black one in the beginning.
She's beautiful.
Imagine she falls in love with this guy and this guy's actually like a big romantic.
Sajora, I don't know how to say thank you in Dothraki.
There is no word for thank you in Dothraki.
Wow. That's interesting.
Oh, she's scared of him though.
Who knows? Like, people fall in love in arranged marriages all the time.
Yeah. And he picked her up like a child, just like plopped her on the horse.
Yeah, I wonder how old she is, because the other girl's 13, already talking about getting married. Make him happy. Ugh, that's really gross.
It is gross, right? It just doesn't feel right at all in any capacity.
Look, the contrast. Dark and light horse. I see.
The horizon. The infinite ocean. He's like, not bad. He's like, my new wife. It's like he's like unboxing like a package that he gets from Amazon. He's like, not bad.
He hasn't said a word to her.
I know. And there's the whole language barrier.
Oh, look, he said no.
No cry. Don't cry. No cry.
Do you know the common tongue?
No. Well, he understood what you asked. So.
Is no the only word that you know?
No. Never a straight answer.
Oh, I feel so bad.
Damn, this is getting dark, like in the weird territory that I don't think we've explored yet on this channel.
Oh my goodness.
There's like no. That's crazy. And here I was thinking that they would have like a Beauty and the Beast moment, you know?
Then pick you for a hunter.
The greatest in the land. My spear never misses.
My spear.
It's not hunting if you pay for it.
It's not hunting if you pay for it.
You as good with a spear as you used to be?
No, but I'm still better than you.
I like their dynamic.
It's like a brotherly thing.
And I'll make sure you don't look grim all the time.
Well, he's basically saying like, I'm gonna take care of you, bro. Don't worry, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a brother. But
I
then
mean, he is the king. Like, if anybody has the power,
yeah,
it's him. So he could keep him safe, and
Mhm.
vice versa. Hey, no climbing.
Oh yeah, his mom told him, man.
That's what kids do.
And it's always the restrictive parent. The parents try to restrict the kid's reach.
Yeah.
You gotta instruct the kid. Don't restrict them. Instruct. Ooh, that's pretty high up, right? I wasn't really grasping the severity of the height.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Again, not a few minutes, huh?
Close your eyes.
Moaning. And this kid's like curious. He's like, wait, are they wrestling?
Oh my goodness.
Are they wrestling like mom and dad do? Who's wrestling? Oh, it's the Jamie guy. Whoring around. Damn, they really show stuff, huh? Oh my god, that's his sister.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
What?
Oh my god.
What the heck?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh no, no.
He saw us.
Oh my god.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
He saw us.
I heard you the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the dog.
Quite the little climb, aren't you?
Oh god.
The things I do for love.
Holy shoot. Damn.
Oh, what?
And that's how it
What?
ends. Wow. Talk about a cliffhanger, bro. What? Damn, he said the things I'll do for love. This guy is psycho, bro. That's your sister, dog. First of all.
Did he just kill?
What the hell?
Oh.
Oof. Nah, like I'm like hooked now. Like I need us to do this every other day to like watch this. This is pretty. Oh my gosh.
The things I do for love. They're in love.
Ooh. That's a lot of stuff in one episode, right?
I don't even know where to start.
That was insane though. Like,
well, let me start by flipping my hair to the
I'll
side.
flip my hair.
Just so my face is not hidden.
My notes honestly won't make any sense, so I'm just gonna go by intuition here because I was just jotting down names. Ladies and gentlemen, am horrible with names.
Me too.
I failed any subject in school that required remembering the names, which is funny, especially history. When the teacher would say, oh, the French Revolution is going to be on the test, and this war is going to be on the test, and this one is going to be on the test. And then you have to know all these kings, all of these shifts in power, all of these eras and dates and titles. And your boy, Callie over here, was always present during summer school.
Oh my god.
It's like always.
For me, I think I just rehearsed a lot where even if I didn't learn it, I just memorized everything. So I would take my time practicing memorizing the words and the names.
Couldn't be me, bro. Couldn't be me. But yeah, so I just wrote down a few names. So let's just start here real quick. I put Arya, Sansa, Snow, and Robb. Those are just a few of them. And then there are others kind of like mixed in. Okay, wildlings. I'm curious to know what that is. They did not explain what those are, so I'm going to just underline it so that for the next episode I remember. The wall is the big ice wall, which I have interesting thoughts on. Direwolf. Is that a real species of animal?
Probably.
Oh,
because all the other animals seem to be normal, real animals.
Yeah, they said bear and they
Yeah.
like mentioned dragons, which are completely normal. I've seen a few dragons.
Oh, the iPad?
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna announce. Is this your one or mine? It doesn't matter.
Mine.
It doesn't matter. It's my one.
I'm already finished with this one. I'm already through.
All right. So guys, what I want to announce real quick. Hold on. Transition moment. Okay. So we have our handy dandy iPad, which we are going to open up to Google, and we are going to have Google open, our trusty companion Google, because we figured why not start integrating the use of this in case we have like these like dumb little brain fart moments and we can just search it up.
Yeah, so we could see if there's a dire wolf.
But then I just thought something. Because this is an old series, I don't know if me typing in direwolf is going to bring up spoilers.
Oh,
so
yeah,
because it's
don't write
very related to the series, I feel like these types of searches we're not going to do. But we'll keep it here. It just made me remember because we had planned to do that. All right, so White Walkers are what I'm assuming the zombie figures, right?
Yeah.
So let me put zombies. And they have blue eyes. Like, what do you make of that?
I thought of Dune. Like, but in this case, I think that maybe it has to do with the cold. Like, I don't know. Because they're in, like, what's already winter, it seems. Like, they're in the forest of winter, basically. Winter wonderland over there. But maybe it has something to do with the cold, and maybe it has something to do with, like, zombified kind of after dead, because that's the feel that I got with the little girl, because she was dead, and then when she was standing she had blue eyes and she looked kind of zombified.
So maybe that is that after death, right? Because from my understanding is they arrived at the scene when it had just recently occurred, and then they went back and they got someone to come with them to like check it out, right? They told their like leader, and then they came back and then nothing was there anymore.
Yeah.
So even the body parts, everything. So my understanding is something animated those corpses, right? like something animated them, and then that's why it changes colors of the eyes. Because like usually in movies and in art, the eyes are the windows to the soul. So if you have dead eyes and then they're reanimated with this frost baby blue hue, then you have to ask yourself, what is possessing these deceased bodies, you know?
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. Zombies.
Just like in Dune, it would be said that it was kind of the opposite, where it was the spice that was like animating their kind of like awareness, right? And their connection with the, what do you call it?
With the
being able to time travel or space travel, right? They call
space
it.
And time.
Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah. Then there's King's Landing, Winterfell, The Wall. Okay, so I just wrote that down. King's Landing, right? Landing, I think of airplanes, you know, like when you, if there's a landing zone or there's a patch of land which is known as like the so-and-so landing. So the King's Landing, it's where the king makes his landing, makes his descent, or makes his arrival. And then Winterfell is where winter fell. And then the Wall is the Wall. It's a very basic, direct name so far is what I'm picking up.
Mm-hmm.
So direwolf is the official sigil of the Stark children. There are 5 Stark children. There's 2 girls. There's the young boy who we saw fall. There's his older brother. And then there's another brother, right? So there's 5 official ones.
Yeah.
And then John is the bastard.
Yeah,
right?
There's another little brother. So it seems like there was 2 in the lineup, like 2 little brothers.
Oh, there's a littler one.
Yeah.
A smaller one, okay.
Yeah, which I didn't get his name, and I didn't get the name of the other little brother either. I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm kind of on like a gummy, so
I'm kind of like on a gummy.
Yeah.
You could just say it.
So, I'm just having fun, and yeah, I'm just gonna let loose, and that's it.
Yeah, just have fun. It's all good. All right, so then I wrote direwolf, sigil of the 5 Stark children. I did like the symbolism at the beginning with like 5 puppies and 5 wolves, and then you have the white one that was kind of wandering and kind of an outsider and looked different and had red eyes. So that one is representative, and it's also fate, it's destiny, which is like John told his father, right? He said it's destiny, it's fate.
Mm-hmm.
There's 5 direwolf puppies and there's 5 Stark children, so 1 for each. And then fate kind of manifested for him in real time when he saw that there was an extra one missing.
Yeah.
And all white with red eyes. So that was cool. That was interesting. And it also felt like, I don't know if I'm reading into it too much, but it felt like the father has had a dreadful experience with dire wolves. Maybe he had an animal, a pet animal growing up, and his heart just can't take any more breaking. But it felt, because you see him being colored with loss, right? Like his whole theme so far is that he has underwent a lot of burden, a lot of warring, a lot of dealing with loss as it comes from outside stimulus.
His sisters. Yeah. His sister, I mean.
His sister, and then possibly losing a dog or like losing a wolf in this case. And that's why he was very cold against it. And he's like, all right, kill them, because it's best to kill something before you develop an attachment and you give names. And then he doesn't want his children to possibly suffer. I think that was the whole idea.
Yeah, and then also him saying that you're gonna train them and you're gonna feed them, and then if they die, you're gonna bury them. That just like goes to show that he really doesn't want to have a connection with them.
He doesn't.
It's like he doesn't want any part in raising the wolves, you know.
Like he doesn't want to deal with the emotional roller coaster maybe of owning a pet.
And that's kind of symbolic, right? Because if he leaves his village,
Kingdom.
right? Winterfell, kingdom. I don't know if it's called a kingdom if you're not a king, but
he's a lord, right? So this is kind of what's the name? Feudalism. I think is the prevailing kind of like system that was used back here, is that there's usually a king, and the king resides in a certain palace and in a certain state or city-state or whatever it was, and then he would give land to lords who, in exchange for the ability to live and to kind of govern those lands, had to provide the king with assistance and with an army and with all that stuff. So it was kind of an exchange of like, I got you with land, but you got me with warriors.
Allies, yeah.
Allies, and just covering the grounds and covering our kingdom.
Yeah, and managing the kingdom, because it's so huge, right? Like one king can't handle all the lands, you know. He has to appoint people to step in and do that too.
And it also takes me into this, and here's where I start spiraling out of control into the mentally gone.
That's what we're here for.
Craziness, because as she said, I am also on a gummy, and maybe you guys find this more amusing, like, because I definitely have more fun when I'm in this altered state of consciousness, kind of, because it's just fun for me. But then, really quickly, before I have to reset the camera, it's funny how the king took 1 month to get to the Starks.
Yeah.
And in that 1 month of traveling to a destination, just to make a decision, just to continue your ruling, continue the bureaucratic system of ruling, of pronouncing, I believe his name is Ned, right? Ned Stark as the hand, as your hand, right? Until you get to that point, there's 1 month kind of like interplay.
Yeah.
And what happens in that 1 month, in my way of understanding it, is what is he ruling over? He's the king of what in that 1 month?
Yeah.
Right? So it's obvious that for 1 month, all of the kingdom was basically without a king, a residing king that's putting all of these things into order. And so in that understanding, in that simple kind of fact, people should have started waking up to the idea of like, but the king's not here.
Yeah.
But still I have to pay my taxes to the king. And he's not really actively ruling all the time. He takes these trips and he's always drunk and he's always indulging.
Yeah, it seems like there's what you're saying, like there's nothing to really, there's no rule that's really needed, because it doesn't seem like there's war. Well, there is like conspiring, which we saw, like the Lannisters killing his hand, right? And maybe wanting to like completely seize the throne, I guess. But what do you call it? But it doesn't seem like there's war. Like, it doesn't seem like it seems like it's prepping, but it's not.
It's like a Cold War.
Yeah. So then, he could kind of just like what you're saying, like he could just fool around and he doesn't really have to, there's nothing to rule over is what you're saying. Like,
yeah. And then he's making it clear by basically flaunting that to his people. And in my way of seeing it, it's him looking at his people and saying, you stupid suckers, like you here bowing and bending the knee for the king and whatever, and just being all respectful and bowing. And here I am, meanwhile, I'm just this fat guy who can't even get off his own horse, which I wrote here. A king who cannot get off his own horse. His horse is too high, if that's the case. And with that, I'm going to reset the camera. Hold on.
That's crazy. Like, his horse is too high, and he overconsumes so much that he's not. It's like, I don't know what it is with the kings, especially in that era, like in the medieval times, where it was like the staple for being seen as rich and wealthy and royal was that they were, you know, they had more weight to them, because then it showed that they could afford the foods and that they could indulge and that they, you know.
Yeah, but then you look at the French Revolution, and it was just a matter of time before the people started noticing that the upper echelon was basically indulging in all of this excess, while the people were starving on the streets and losing children and losing family members. So eventually the population wakes up to the tyranny that is the tyranny over their own lives and their own expression and people. And then a step past that is when people start intellectually starting connecting things and starting being like, oh, wait, like, why does everybody just accept life as this way? It's like, why doesn't anybody question things? Why doesn't anybody climb, right? And so it's the climbing of the kid at the end. The climbing is what will unveil the truth. Most people are talking and having secret discussions in the crypts of the kingdoms where death prevails, you know, and then they're making pacts of more life where death prevails. And then it's like highly symbolic. And then this little kid, the child, knows to climb. If you want to see more, then you have to climb more. But as a child, I feel like that manifests itself a lot first in the physical sense, because you're not really matured to the point where you can understand things on a symbolic, intellectual, spiritual essence and grasp the essence of things. A lot of the things are superficial. A lot of like, oh, like this person said he has candy and Xbox, so I'm going to go in his van. It's like a lot of like, and he had a big smile on his face, so he must be good. But then you start evolving as a person, and you start growing up, and then you start climbing. But then that's the whole idea that I got. It's like he found out what the truth is. And once he found out the truth, that probably there's reason now for them to be conspiring. And so people were speculating, oh, like they think that the Hand of the King was killed because they're trying to remove the guy from the throne. And that's Game of Thrones, right? It's called Game of Thrones. And then it shows us a different type of people across the water who have white hair. It's like white hair and who have dragon eggs. It's like, so I'm curious to know, because it would blow my mind. It would blow my mind into smithereens if I realized, if you guys told me in the comments that, what's the place called? Pentos?
Pentos, yeah.
If Pentos is located to the east of where everything is happening. Because if you tell me that when they go to the east, they see a lady with white hair who has dragon eggs. Do you understand how like highly symbolic that is? And she and her brother wants the throne. And then she makes a connection with the brutes, with the tribal men. People of omens, people of intuition, native people of the land. It's like, when will I have my throne? When will I have my throne? It's like, oh, it depends, because the Dothraki omens, right? The omens of war. We have to wait for the omens. It's like they're in sync with nature. They're in sync with the cosmos, and that's what makes them great warriors. Yeah,
like time, you know, time is not measured or rushed for them.
No, it's not. And also life isn't viewed in the same aspect as most people, and that's why they're viewed as brutes. So death for them is, maybe it's not a finality, and maybe that's why they're okay with having their own people killed by each other. Because it's a ritualistic thing. It's like the birth of a ceremony, the birth of a union has to be marked with maybe a sacrifice. And the sacrifice is usually the two people making the sacrifice of their own inner transformation, becoming the alchemical gold, right? The golden rings, that's what's supposed to say, like represent. And then the welding of those rings together becoming one. you know, and being of the same type, and having a ring, have a pair and a partner, and have like a, you know, it's like when Zeus separated people, and then the whole idea of soulmate.
Yeah.
And that you have to spend your life trying to find your opposite.
And then to what you said, right, about how they view death differently. When they kill the person, it seems like they cut off their hair, a piece of their hair, and then it's tied into their braid.
Oh, they take it from them.
Yeah, that's why his braid is so long. It's not because he's been growing it. It's because that's the hair of every man he's killed. Just like being added onto his braid, I guess. So in a sense, like they kind of still live on through him, like through their leader, you know, whoever he slaughtered and whatever. They just slaughter each other for sport. It seems like it's fun for them. It's part of their kind of like, yeah, it's like part of their culture. It's part of their, you know.
And if you think about the whole hair thing being a spiritual antenna, right? It's what a lot of people believe, and that's why in the 70s people would grow out their afros, because it's basically like the emanation of understanding, of like being illumined, right? Through marijuana and through like that whole movement of the 70s and 80s that expanded people's consciousness, and that's what the hair expanding from the scalp was supposed to represent. And it's just the growing of understanding, the growing of, you know, of like grace too. But then him carrying people's hair is what you said, is that their physical was weaker, but their spirit is still attached to him. To him in some capacity, which is weird.
It's really crazy. And then they ride horses too. These like very brute, kind of like aggressive and violent men riding horses, which are very majestic and very, you know, obviously horses have always led knights and stuff like on their backs, but like as the animal itself, they're just like very majestic creatures, you know?
Right.
So it's kind of contrasting too.
And it's interesting how in that more brutal culture of the brutes, they like, he rides like he's the leader of those people, right? So he's their king, and the king rides with his men, and he doesn't need a whole ensemble to make an entrance. And so you saw that kind of like duality and that polar opposite in terms of presentation. He comes, looks, analyzes, doesn't say a word with his two homies, and then just dips.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, this king, he makes a whole entrance, hundreds of men, right? Hundreds of men are coming over the hill, and the first ones to enter are like his like young son, and then his queen, and then he comes in, and then he needs his servants to have a stool for him to step off. And then you contrast that with the Dothraki. He picks his queen up, his now queen, right? Puts her on a horse, and then gets on his horse, and they ride in equals.
Yeah.
It's like they ride black and white, duality. It's the coming together of the moon and the sun, which is why her hair is probably white.
Yeah, and I think that it is. No, it is, because that's why that's what I was going to say. Like they're under the sun and stuff, and wherever she's from is probably like, you know, different, because it doesn't seem like she's from where they are, because she wants to go home, right?
Yeah.
But then, what was I gonna say?
It's okay. It's okay. It's totally fine. You gotta let go, man.
Oh no! I am.
Good?
I'm just trying to remember. No, forget it. Go.
No, go.
No, I don't know. I don't know. Like it'll come back to me.
All right. Lannisters can't act as fools. I just wrote that down because I've been learning that, like, I've been reading up a little bit on like mysticism and like a lot of old symbolism, and there's a lot of symbolism in tarot, right? Because like tarot, usually like people when they speak of tarot, they like roll their eyes and like, oh my gosh, she's in a tarot, she's a crazy one, you know, like there's a negative connotation, especially when you see like girls, like it's horoscope and tarot.
Yeah,
it's
like astrology,
type, astrology and Mercury retrograde. But there's a lot of symbolism that makes a lot of sense and actually ties into ancient philosophy and just interesting overall. But the Fool is the most powerful card in the deck because you have to be a fool in order to learn anything.
Yeah.
Right? So they said that the Lannisters can't act as fools, and then meanwhile it ends with both of them acting as fools. Yeah. Like doing foolish things, and they are fools. Then but then the fool is the wisest in the deck, because through experience gains knowledge and gains wisdom, right? And then you see the dwarf, Tyrion, his speech was the wisest one.
Yeah.
In the whole episode.
Yeah.
So he's viewed as an imp, and he knows that people look down on him, and he just dropped a bunch of golden bars.
Yeah, and he fully embodies it. Like, he fully embraces it. He doesn't care. Because also, like, he has no problem getting women, or, like, he's a lord. So despite whatever way he's casted out of his family, he still, like, his position still isn't denied. Like, he still has the name of the family, and he still has the wealth of the family, and he still has the respect of the family of, like, being related to the queen, which is why he says, like, yeah, that's my biggest accomplishment. Like, he's very witty,
right.
Then it's fun. It's really fun to watch.
It's fun.
Yeah.
That's very true. Very, very witty. And about, like, wearing it too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if you wear your weakness on your sleeve, then you become accustomed to it, because you look at it every day and it becomes a part of who you are. But then a lot of people, they try to bury their weaknesses, and they try to just peacock their way through life. Like, they put on makeup, and they put on kind of like different personalities is what people usually decide to do. And that's what we see the king doing with the excessive consumption of sensory input. It's a lot of sensory input. It's constantly wanting to feel something, constantly wanting to have a smile on my face. But then you see that he has the largest weight because he's the king, and the king has a behavior that is very telling of how that king has been dealing with his responsibility. And then you see his future hand. I didn't see him drunk. I didn't see him act the fool, act foolishly in front of the people.
Very sober, very stoic.
Stoic, honorable, believes in honor, believes in, like, takes things to heart, and actually takes his responsibility seriously.
Yeah.
And honors his work, and honors what his position is.
And I feel like that's what I'm learning a lot of too, because I feel like I have things that I consider weaknesses, but then what he said, it really makes a lot of sense. It's that if you resist something, you kind of just create more tension with that thing. So if you resist parts of yourself from the past and you just try to run away from it, for example, like, you're always going to feel that, like, daunting energy, versus if you just embraced it and you're like, hey, like, this is who I am, this is what this is me, raw, vulnerable, whatever, and you just embrace it, then it won't affect you anymore, and it won't matter what anybody has to say about you, or the remarks, if they call you an imp, if they call you whatever.
Bastard.
It's like, it doesn't matter, because you have made peace with it.
Yeah.
So you have to give yourself the peace of mind, and then nothing will penetrate past that, really.
Yeah, because what you give your attention to, you embolden.
Yeah.
Right? Like, energy flows where attention goes.
Yeah.
So whatever you focus on is what you're going to embolden, whether it's good or bad. And if you own things, like, just like you said, and you go through the whole healing aspects and just basically accepting yourself, as corny and as cringe as that sounds, like, once you accept yourself and you accept your initial perceived limitations, you give yourself the freedom to start breaching through new horizons and starting to expand and experiment and see, like, maybe I'm a good painter, maybe I'm a good I can draw well, maybe I could sing, maybe I can make music, maybe I can play the guitar. And then you start releasing yourself from those limitations that have been casted upon you by other people, and by most people in society, who are incapable of looking themselves in the mirror and seeing their own reflection, and that's why they have to indulge in just sensory input and trying to forgetfulness is what it's all about. Either you're living to remember, or you're living to forget. Either way, the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
Either way, your ride will be up.
And guess what? You won't forget, because if you're trying to forget, then you're already failing at forgetting, because you can't. You know what I mean?
And it's harder for you to try to forget, believe it or not. And people might say, like, no, it's not. Like, it's so easy. I could go and get a 6-pack of beer and just drown out all my vices. It's so easy for me. Yeah, but it's not easy living with that.
Yeah.
And having to do that. It's definitely not easy. It's definitely not easy having to indulge every day and having to, like, live a life of forgetfulness, of trying to run away from understanding. But if you just allow yourself to just give up in the best way possible, like give up resistance, then you tap into the flow of the river, into the morphing of the water in the cup that Bruce Lee would talk about. Be the cup. If you're in the cup, be the cup. If you're in the vase, be the vase. Be whatever it demands of you, but don't change your essence.
Yeah.
It's like continue being water. Be water, because water is the most sacred thing on this planet. And it's what we're made up of, right? Like we're made up of 70% water or something crazy.
Yeah.
We're influenced by the tides of the moon.
Yeah.
You know, like by not the tides of the moon, but the influence
the moon.
of it.
Yeah, the moon's influence over the tides.
Like
yeah.
it influences us too, you know, like it definitely does. And we're connected, and that means that we're connected. And that's something that science might chalk up as a coincidence, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's like similar to the ocean. We have our moments of high tide and low tide and stormy seas and comfortable, beautiful, clear waters, murky waters, shallow waters. And we have to just become the ocean, become the drop, you know, the drop that contains within it the ocean.
Oh, man.
I'm going to restart the camera.
Yeah, guys. I was looking, sorry.
But yeah.
Just some existential knowledge for you.
Always.
But I was going to say, I think I remember.
I'll just take this out because I don't want it to cover it.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah,
we don't really need it unless we need it.
Yeah, we don't. We won't use it. Maybe.
I'll keep it here and I'll keep it turned like that so it's not in the frame.
But what's interesting, this is kind of like a little off rails, but what's interesting is that speaking on the whole kingdom and what the king is ruling over and stuff, it's like he doesn't, I think that the person who was killed, I forgot his name, John something, he was the hand of the king, right? Mm-hmm. And so the way that the king makes it sound is that he's, what you said, like he's escaping responsibility. He's kind of evading it. He's kind of indulging, just wanting to enjoy the pleasures of being king. So he sees the throne, however that happened, I don't know yet. But he sees the throne because he said that together we got the throne and together we're going to keep it or whatever. Or we're going to maintain it. Yeah. So to my point is that he just seems to have fallen in the spiral of like indulging in the pleasures of being the king, but not so much the responsibilities. And so he probably bestowed all of the responsibility on the hand who was killed. And that's why he said, what do you think I need you for? I want to just be, you know, drinking and doing whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's what I need you for. Like, I need you
run my business
to do it for me. Yeah, because I don't want to work. It's like I worked to get here, but that's it. Like, that's why I worked, you know? So it's kind of like those, you know, it's very interesting. But then to my point is that they came in and it was very colorful. Like they're wearing like red and pink, like very vibrant colors. And it's probably because they're not from this like colder area. But in the Stark's home,
Winterfell,
everybody is very gray, cold, dark, cold, like pelts on and stuff, and just very, you know, it feels much more.
You do have a point there because I do agree.
More grim, like more.
That sounded so bad. Like you do have a point because I did agree. Like,
because you agree.
Because I agree. Because I have made it so. It's like, I'm sorry. It's just I'm also on gummies, guys. So
I know, guys. Bear with me too.
Bear with me.
Because also we were kind of talking about this, but with time of like doing these, like just doing this more, like doing what we do more, I feel like we'll get more comfortable with it all, and we'll just like flow with it. We'll just,
The goal is exposure therapy, essentially.
Yeah, because I want to just eventually get to a point, which I know I could do right now, but of just 100% being myself.
So just do it right now. Like what is holding back? Because usually what I found with my own kind of like inner exploring with the whole idea of like being on camera and kind of trying to build a career off of being an influencer, right? Like a content creator is what I prefer to use. But trying to do that requires a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
Which is basically like you don't have the privilege of holding the gold of your vulnerability and your pain and keeping it from the world. You don't have the privilege.
Yeah.
It like the moment you step up onto like a worldwide stage, which is what I envision this becoming one day, because I do envision this as like growing into what it can be, right? Into what it's meant to become, which I think it's because I believe in it, because I believe it's something actually useful. It's something different. It's something beautiful that the internet might find useful. Does that make sense? Because like there's a lot of like
resonating,
and like gimmicky and haktua and the boom, and there's a lot of like stuff like that already, and I feel like it's too much far to that side of the scale.
Yeah.
So we have to like retilt the balance, and we have to bring back deep introspective conversation. We have to bring back what it actually means to connect with somebody romantically, what it means to have a relationship, what it means to be in love, what it means to have a conversation with someone that you're in love with, that you're trying to build a life with, that you're trying to build a future with. You know what I'm saying? So we have to like remind people what that looks like. It's not just, oh, like you want to go to the club later with me and my boys? Like you could bring your girls. And no, like that's a phase, right? Like that's a premature phase of being, of spirit, of soul. So this is us kind of like doing our great work. This is my great work of my life, is being able to just sit and communicate these weird ideas that I just have, and hopefully maybe it connects with other people. It plants seeds of understanding, of questioning, of like,
curiosity.
Like, curiosity. That's what I want to like. That's what I want my signature to be. I'm highly curious about everything. So I have no problems questioning everything, and that's not what everybody is taught to do. Like most people are taught in school, stand in line, single filed line, hands to your side, look at the back of the head of the person in front of you and keep walking.
Yeah, no more climbing.
No more climbing. Don't look to your sides, focus. Whoever steps out of line gets the attention. And that's at that time, like there was a saying too about how those who stick their neck out are the first to get beheaded. So if you stick your neck out, if you try to stick out of the crowd, then you get your head cut off.
Like stay obedient. You know?
Stay. Yeah, basically stay. But yeah, so my point is that the vulnerability and the transparency has to be a given. It has to be a given.
Yeah.
People can ask me about anything, and I'm an open book.
Yeah,
and
me
I
too.
will talk about it.
Me too.
I don't fear anything. I wear who I am always on my skin, so what you see is what you get. And there's no like ambivalency. There's no like, I wonder what the angle is. I wonder what the strategy with this channel is. I wonder what they're trying to do. We'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'm here, and I'm going to be here every day in exposure therapy and just sitting down and recording something,
Yeah.
like trying to record something and not trying, just doing.
Yeah, just doing which we have to like, we're getting better at doing. It's like just getting into it. It's like which why we're doing it back to back, and I'm really excited.
We did Thor on Monday. Today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow we have another reaction planned. And then Friday we have more stuff planned. And then Saturday we have more stuff planned.
I'm like the mosquito coming for you. But I want to like just to explain, it's because I'm overall like it's not even about camera or outsiders so much, but I've always been overall like a a socially awkward, kind of more introverted person. Like always,
me and you.
I know, but you know what I'm saying?
It's the illusion of,
you know what I'm saying?
of having more. Yes,
Yeah.
I do understand. Is that in the conversation aspect, you learn that first on a social scale, right?
Yeah.
So you learn how to talk with your friends and with your family, because you have to survive in a family unit, and then it expands into your friendships. And then only later it determines if you're going to find a partner.
Yeah.
And then you use your skills of communication that you've learned with your friends and your family, that you've built up those skills and that arsenal of conversation, and then you find someone who is at the same level of conversation.
But do you know what's so crazy?
Yes.
This is what's crazy, and hopefully you like, but I don't think that I ever had like a real
conversation,
open communication in that way
growing up
with my family. No.
Yeah, me neither.
I was always closed in my room.
Me neither. I was always a loner. Yeah.
And so I think that it's just really trippy, because that's why when we met, I was just very shy. You know, I was very always hiding my face and always just very, self-conscious. But really, you're the first person that I've ever felt that complete comfort, comfortableness
to be yourself.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird, it is weird, and I know I'm able to do that with you, but if you introduce any other variable in,
like a camera, lights, microphone,
someone else, it could literally be there are times where it's your sister, who we've been living together for the past 5 years now, but it's it's so weird. It's it's that little kind of I feel like I have it as a defense a little bit, which is the irony that he said wear your vulnerabilities as your armor. But then my armor is meant to shield the vulnerabilities a little bit. It's I don't want to give people all of me when I'm still I don't know.
That's the big irony of it, because the big, not irony, but the paradox of it is that you have to give all of yourself.
Yeah.
It's you can't, for example, I feel like I owe it to the world and I owe it to myself to share in the nuances of my experience. And that could include my thought process, that could include my dealings with traumatic moments in childhood and young adulthood and, whatever it is, any phase of my life. But just doing it in a way basically that sheds light on hope.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten through these things, I've learned from it, and there are things that you can learn from it. You can alchemize even this thing, for example, right? So the way you talk about your experience, I think it should always be for the benefit of your own better understanding of who you are, and then through you understanding you, knowing thyself, others can vicariously know themselves.
Yeah,
or begin to know, or begin to see where the breadcrumbs lead, and where you went to in order to deal with this trauma, with this illusion, with this problem, with this anxiety.
Yeah.
With this depression,
It's leaving the door open for transformation and for, just for growth. It's never, it's don't, I get exactly what you mean though. And I think that I feel there will be moments more, hopefully, the more things that we watch, because then it's that relatability and stuff. So whenever there's a scene that makes me feel something or makes me think of something that I've experienced or gone through, then I'm ready to just talk about it. For example, this weird kind of relationship that's going on, this arranged marriage, right, with the Dothraki and with the Daenerys, her name,
Targaryen.
Yeah, but then that she's obviously very uncomfortable, and she's being taken advantage of by her brother and then by this man, right? When he has to consummate their marriage, basically. But anyways, like in that example, like I can eventually talk about, which I've already talked about in our Taken reaction, but then I could talk about the kind of like stuff that I've gone through with being sexually assaulted by an older man. Who was a family friend. And then it was kind of like, you know, an overstepping of a boundary and just very...
Of course.
And part of my journey, because again, like, I don't know how old she is, but when that happened to me, I was 14. And it was this 40-something-year-old man, and I felt that kind of same thing that's going on here. Like, it seems like she's very young. She's very... like innocent, you know, and that's why she's like in all white, and she has a white horse, and it's like kind of this, it's supposed to symbolize her innocence. And then there's this man who just, you know, is
chaos.
Yeah.
Just pure chaos embodied.
Yeah, and doesn't even speak to her, but then is engaging in something that's like a sacred kind of like
becoming one, right? Like that's the whole idea, is that the sun and the moon become one.
Yeah.
And then that produces the wholeness. It's the individuation, you know? It's the becoming one.
But then to my point is like, this will just, even though, because there's like a theme of like losing innocence in this one, because there's the kid who climbs up to the window and then he sees this very strange ordeal that's happening, and he's exposed to it now, to these like things that go on in the kingdoms and stuff, and in these adult relations. And then it's like, whoa, like brother and sister, the queen is doing this, and it doesn't, like, isn't she married to the king? She's defying the king, and like all these things, right?
And the guy getting decapitated, beheaded.
Yeah, but then it's like the loss of innocence is a theme, it seems. Like with him and then with her. And she, you know, it I don't know, but yeah, it's just, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. But to your point, like we both with experience, like we're going to be able to open up more.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the initiative with the podcast was, and that's what it's supposed to represent. It's like a doorway. But with movies too, like I want to cry more. Like I always tell you that I could use a good cry. It's like we should do a reaction soon, and because I want to feel something. I want to like not feel something, but I want to feel the cathartic kind of like release, you know, if it's being like, yes, like he's the Lisan al-Gaib, you know, if it's pumping the air and being like, hell yeah.
People are like, hey,
inspired.
He's not the Messiah, guys. And we're like, Lisan al-Gaib, Lisan al-Gaib. It's like, I don't care. I'm still going to root for him.
And we're like lost and immersed in the story, and like, who cares? It's like, that's what the beauty of this is.
Yeah.
Is that for however long we sit here, like we can give ourselves the luxury of being mentally gone, of being a little bit mentally gone. Because if you go out into the world is already mentally gone, right? But it likes to pretend that it's not. And same thing applies to the people you meet, to the bank teller, to the grocery store clerk, to everybody. It's like everyone is mentally gone in the way that they're not pretending that everything is not insane.
Yeah.
It's like everything's insanity. Like Donald Trump is working at McDonald's. He did a whole like press run. Kamala Harris brought up at Eminem to speak at her thing.
Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
it's all, everything is a movie. Everything is like a thing, you know?
Callie is like my access into what's going on in the world, because I have no social media whatsoever. Like I have no window into the world. Like we're literally inside too, like all the time. So there's not really, I did get exposure, like walking Shadow, and then seeing the Trump supporters like on the weekend, like they're selling T-shirts in the corner.
Yeah, there's like a group of like nomads who sell merch, political merch, and then you, like, if you walk the dog close enough, you can always hear like cars kind of like
arguing,
revving, and like stop beeping and saying like, "No, take that down." And then you see this like duality and polarity playing right in front of your face.
And then I'm like, this Shadow is politics, and I'm just like talking to my dog.
And then Shadow looks like a wolf.
Yeah, we're like the Starks. Look at us.
He's a Siberian husky, and I've always had huskies.
I've never had a husky, so but
well, you have one now.
I feel like it's fitting. I was born in the winter, so like it's me and my buddy.
Me and my little guy.
He's my little guy.
I'm gonna reset. Hold on. All right. So just going on now with the list and moving on, right?
Yeah.
We have the old gods, and when she said the old gods, I didn't really understand. So does that imply that there are new gods? Because then his response was, "Oh, like yours just has a bunch of more, like has more restrictions. It's like your gods have more restriction." That really kind of like sparked something inside of me because I started thinking, all right, so old gods. What I can imagine and what comes to mind is like ancient Norse mythology, ancient Egyptian mythology. Older civilizations who weren't antiquated per se, like they were advanced in their own right, and a lot of people believe that they were more advanced than we are today, in just different aspects and different directions. But old gods versus new gods, I'm curious to know how that unfolds and how the religious structure works in this thing.
Yeah.
Because usually it's the case where the king is crowned by a religious institution that bestows upon him, or him in this case, king and queen, him and her, the honor of being the embodiment of divinity on earth.
Yeah.
And that's what the pharaohs were, right? They believe that each pharaoh was the embodiment of the sun god Ra. So it's the embodiment of the sun. It's the sun incarnate. And the same thing with kings is that their crown is supposed to represent not just power for power's sake, but it's divine will and divine intervention, And then it's just funny because there was a scene where Robert was wearing his crown while he was indulging in the acts of foolishness. So it's a fool, it's a fool wearing a crown. And,
it's literally a costume.
For him, it's a costume, and it gives him access to everything.
Yeah, and then what's interesting, wait, let me try to backtrack. What were you saying?
Old gods and new gods.
Oh, yes. What's interesting is this. New gods probably have are more adaptable, right? In terms of like they've changed with the times. That's why they're new gods, or they came with the new times rather. But then the old gods are tried and true to traditions, and that's why he seems to have these kind of morals, right? Where he said, he who passes the sentence must swing the sword.
And he said, before he said that our way is the old way.
Is the old way. So it stays true to the traditions. It's very based on like morals and values, while maybe the new gods is more
political.
Yeah.
Which is what we have today.
Yeah.
And like that's what religion has always been. Religion has always indulged in policy, in maneuvering and establishing power in a non-invasive way that creates this illusion to the public that they are beneficent. But in reality, they have everybody in a pigeonhole, and they're above the king themselves. And so they've established themselves as the ruling kind of headquarters. Like when you go to Brazil, for example, like when I lived in Brazil, the United States consulate, the United States has an embassy, has a building in my town where you can, like, once you enter that building, you are on United States property, essentially.
Really?
Yeah, and most countries have like a consulate inside of New York City, for example. And then you go and you see the Ethiopian consulate. I don't even know if that's the name, but it's the foreign. You guys know what I'm saying, right? It's the foreign presence within a country, but that's a part of the country.
Wow, I really live under a rock.
And that's
it's like, well, I don't know what any of this is. And I'm a college dropout, so...
Hey, I'm a college dropout too.
It's like, I did not pay attention in school.
And that's what Rome is too. Like that's what the not Rome, the Vatican is. The Vatican is just basically a huge consulate, and it's considered its own country.
Yeah.
So, like it's just very interesting.
Wow.
But politics is what ruins religion and belief and faith.
And that's what's happening, right? Like, there's politics going on within the kingdom right under the king's nose, but he knows it.
Yeah.
And he's very...
He knows it.
So it's not like he's completely a fool. Like, he's still well-versed, it seems, in, like, the act of conflict and war.
But does that mean that he's aware, or does that just mean that he's paranoid?
Yeah.
Because he told Ned that he's the only one he trusts.
Yeah, he's definitely paranoid because her sister fled from the capital, right? The mom's sister. I'm trying to like find all of the connections here. So does she have any relation to the king? Because if she's like
her
part
sister
of...
was married to the guy who got killed.
Oh, okay, but she doesn't have any direct relation like
to the crown. I don't know.
Okay, well then, but then to my point is that maybe that was like part of the circle that he trusted within the capital was his hand, right? Because it's his hand and their family. But seeing her flee with her child is sad, right? And then seeing his hand killed, it's what you said. It's like maybe he doesn't even trust everybody else there, which goes to show like you know why.
He definitely has trust issues, and it's because of his paranoia, I think. Because, like, when you're in a survival mode, you have no choice but to be hyper-aware, right? But then you can't let that fool you as wisdom.
Yeah.
Because it's not wise. It's like, he's not wise. Like, he does not show himself to be wise.
No, I don't think so.
But Ned gives off a wise kind of aura.
Yeah, he does.
Energy.
I really like his character so far.
Yeah, he reminds me of Plato's philosopher king, and it's basically a king who rules with an indisruptible moral code and moral compass. It's like it's unshakable. It's like you can't shake it.
Yeah.
So that's what it means to rule as a philosopher king.
Yeah.
Is one who rules for the greatness and for the betterment of all. So it's basically like a bodhisattva ruler.
Yeah.
You know, it's a person who makes the oath to defend his kingdom and also to enrich the lives of all who are under his rule. But then it gets perverted over time, and power becomes power for the sake of power. And then you see that there's a lot of like Machiavellian energy coming from the two brothers and sisters, the Lannisters. They give off this like Machiavellian essence.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the way that Jaime spoke with Ned and invited him to a tournament. Basically, like that might be an opportunity to take him out. You know, and maybe that's what they did with the other hand, and they said, "Oh, like you're too old to like drink with me, maybe," and then poisoned him with like a drink or something.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought. Like the implications, like he was challenging him. Like he was challenging him and implying it. You know, he wanted to show his, his bravado and kind of meet him on the same level type of thing. But Ned was completely unfazed, and he was like, no, like, I think I'll save it for real. So he knows how to match it.
He had like a response ready that was honorable.
Yes.
That didn't make him look like a coward.
Exactly. It's like, don't test me either too, because I'll,
Because when I spar with a man,
Yeah.
or when I touch my sword to another man's sword.
Exactly.
No diddy. Touch a man's sword to another man's sword.
Oh my
I make sure that I
gosh.
show everything I have. That's essentially what they said.
He was showing his sister everything.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to show you my sword. Come
He was
on.
like, no, it's just my new sword. And it's weird, before we move past that point, the Machiavellian thing, but also weird because they have to be so self-obsessed that they are in relation with each other because they're twins.
Yes.
So they're literally the same person, but just in different forms.
Literally, like if you could have intercourse with yourself.
Oh my gosh.
If you're a narcissist, if you're obsessed with yourself.
That's narcissism, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you have like your dream came true. It's like you get to literally indulge in the experience of experiencing yourself.
Oh my gosh.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Especially if because both of them give off the same energy. It's like the same narcissistic kind of like queen, kind of like whatever, but it's clearly a ploy, it seems. Like it's them trying to get maybe her brother to climb up on the throne. I don't know how that would happen.
Yeah, because she offered him the position of hand, right? And then he was like, no, because maybe he wants the throne, like maybe he wants to seize a bigger, but then like how would that work? Like who would bow to this like incestuous relation? I mean, but maybe back then they kept a lot of things like within the family too, so like that was a thing, like pure blood. We saw it in Harry Potter, the pure bloods, you know.
And that was also like, that's history, right? Like most ancient kingdoms were kind of, they did keep it in the family. It's like it was part of it. It's like you would have intercourse with distant family members in order to minimize the percentage or problem or likelihood of birth defects. Yeah. You know, and they would do that, and long lineages of that happening, which is interesting. It's like it's very weird.
And that explains like you know, with Tyrion, why he's the
dwarf?
He's the ostracized one, because of what you're saying. It's like they really value kind of like perfect image, you know, which is why they're doing that in secret and stuff. Like they're not coming out with that. But they value image a lot, and that's why they're in silk dresses, and they're very dressed that way versus the Starks in Winterfell. But then to my point, what was I saying?
Creak. That they care a lot about image.
Yes, and then that's why they ostracize the brother, because he's like an
he's a defective
anomaly
representation of the family.
Yes.
He makes the family look bad, and they treat him as an embarrassment.
Yeah.
And that's why they call him the little beast, and they make sure that the whole world knows that they don't even like him.
And why he said that all dwarves are bastards to their fathers or whatever.
Right.
It's like,
so in that scene, you see the meetings of the two black sheep of the two respective families. You see Jon Snow as the wolf, right? Because like that's what essentially like we connect. His name's Jon. They call him Wolf, and then White and Snow, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it Jon?
Yes, Jon
Wolf?
Snow.
Jon Snow. Jon Wolf. Jon Snow finds
Jon Snow's wolf.
And then Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion Lannister is the black sheep of the Lannisters.
Yeah.
And then it's the meeting of the black sheep.
And that's why they're both not attending the feast, is what I was going to say. It's all a bunch of politics and fakeness and kind of, you know.
So their unpure blood or their impurity in terms of aesthetic impurity doesn't help them further in the political game. So they would rather maybe find other outlets and other places of being outside of the arena of politics.
Yeah, and also pave their own paths a little bit too. It's like Tyrion could attend the feast, but he's kind of like, meh, like I'd rather not, you know?
It's a choice to hang out with the bastards.
Yeah, it's like he seems very sure of himself, you know? He seems like he knows who he is versus the just checking the time, versus the brother and sister who are kind of hiding and kind of hiding behind closed doors, so they're not portraying their true selves. So he's very real.
I see what you're saying.
And then for Jon, he's talking about going to the wall, right, which means that he would have to leave home, and he's like saying, please ask my father and say I'm ready, because he wants to pave his own path, because he doesn't belong there. He's not invited to the feast.
And he knows that if he stays there, then he's just going to rot. Because there are sons who are rightful heirs to Ned's lordship.
So he would just, you know, be serving them kind of, versus...
Just be a soldier.
Yeah, which isn't that like a... Well, I'm not like too well versed in it, but like, isn't that like a Jungian archetype, like the orphan kind of, who goes out to, like, who's called to step out of that, you know, that confinement of being an orphan, being abandoned.
There's a deep idea, right? I don't know if this is Jungian per se, but maybe this is just me collecting from different like sources I've read. But to me, at least, in my way of seeing it right now in this moment, is that the orphan, because they don't have a firm father figure and they don't have a established mother figure to give that reciprocal kind of love and to give that nourishing and that caring, and then also father to push past boundaries and strength and power, that they seek, that they become like truth seekers and seekers of wisdom, which I think I learned this after we finished Harry Potter. But then the first thing that came to my mind was Harry Potter. Because literally, like, you saw me getting all those books, right? The alchemy and like signs and like symbolisms and stuff. And then I started thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because then that person, usually if they use their abandonment powers for good, then they find their mother in nature and they find their father in the heavens, all around them.
Wow.
And then they establish a direct connection with the interconnectedness of everything, because everyone needs nourishment from a mother and they need the attention and the validation of a father. But then if you find God and you find yourself through nature, then you've become the most kind of like complete human on the planet.
And that's why they become altruistic, like where they self-sacrifice and stuff, because they have found family in the world. It's like this connection to all people, you know?
And they know just how valuable it is to have somebody put a coat over a young Bruce Wayne's shoulder at the police department, and they never forget that.
Yeah.
And that's why they offer and like build their own kind of, what do you call the places for the orphans?
Orphanages, yeah.
So they build their own orphanage, and they, you know, like, it's always the giving aspect, because you know the feeling, because you've experienced it. Like, by you, I mean like Bruce Wayne and anybody who has lived a life as an orphan, you feel exactly what it feels like to not have something. And to not have the two most important things, which is a mom and a dad who's present and who actually wants you to thrive and wants you to grow and wants you to prosper in this life and wants to teach you and wants to be there and wants to support you every step of the way, because they see you as a continuation of the legacy, of the heritage, of the bloodline. You know, and they see themselves as royal in the sense of having this experience of life, which is a gift. But then when you don't have that, you know the feeling of not having that. And you can't not know the feeling of not having that. No matter how hard you try to run away from it and you try to save the world, you're always going to be confronted with your own shadow, with your own darkness. And that's why Bruce Wayne opened his orphanage. Like, he opened it because he wanted to replicate that feeling of having somebody offer them warmth in all the coldness of the world, because the world is cold. It's a cold world.
Yeah. And then that's why in this case, like, John is willing to just go kind of like give his life to whatever it is, where he can't father any children. So he's like fully taking on the whole like bastard thing, where he's not gonna now continue in his line of, it's like he felt so abandoned, even though his father's right there, and he doesn't call him father, especially in front of others. He calls him Lord Stark. So he doesn't even have the privilege to address his father for who he is, which is his father. And so he's willing to, it's like he understands that he's not part of this lineage, so he might as well not even try to create his own. You know, like, that's how deep it goes.
And he grows up knowing that the value of lineage for him becomes zero.
Yeah.
So he knows that it doesn't really matter because he's not indulging in that privilege.
Yeah.
Versus like a Jaime Lannister who knows that he must leave heirs, noble, beautiful children, you know, to continue the name of the... John doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So he never grew up with that burden or with that responsibility or feeling. So he's like, all right, so clearly having kids means nothing.
Yeah.
Because I am nobody.
Exactly. Because to them, the name is everything. The surname, right? It's like
Legacy.
the Starks, like they're all addressed by their last name. So he's not a Stark, right? And so he's not a noble. So it doesn't matter. He has no real value in this kingdom.
In terms of blood.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to create a child who's going to suffer like he did.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing too. It's like when you're in like deep in poverty and misery, like you don't think about creating life for the sake of the initial pleasure of like, oh, like I have company, you know, but then usually that's how it works in like underdeveloped countries and third world countries, is that misery does love company, but it's not in the way that people think, in the Machiavellian evil way. It's like, oh, they want to bring me down to their level. Is that misery loves to have another source of energy, another positive source.
Yeah.
And that's why my mom is one of 8 and grew up completely impoverished, like dirt poor, had to sleep multiple nights because the 8 kids were hungry and there was no food. And the dad tries to, abusive dad and violent. So, but 8 kids, it's like back then it was just what you did in order to feel something.
Yeah.
No, hold on. But the idea of like legacy, because they keep their ancestors close, and you can see by the statues underneath the kingdom.
Yeah, and going to the tree, and then why the mom says that she doesn't feel like she's welcome. It's like there's a lot of
belonging,
a lot of distinction too between the different families and kingdoms,
And there's an undertone of everybody questioning where they belong.
Yeah.
It's like, do I belong on the throne? Do I belong back home? Do I belong here in the north? Do I belong here in King's Landing?
Yeah.
Like, where do I belong?
Yeah.
Do I belong on the wall? It's like everybody's questioning their belonging. Ned Stark, do I belong there as the king's hand?
Yeah.
Do I belong here with my family? And so there's no real sense of belonging yet.
Yeah, and then even for the Targaryen, she's like, I want to go home. So she already is feeling a sense of not belonging as well. It's like everybody is feeling like they don't belong or questioning it, like you said.
And even when you think that you belong somewhere, like you think that you belong back home as a queen, as a residing queen, there's the whole politics, right? Like there's the whole shuffling of the seats, like one person sitting there today, tomorrow that king might be poisoned and murdered, and then somebody else has to assume it. And that's the Game of Thrones, right? Like it's literally retelling history. History was made of murders. It's like murders for the sake of power.
Usurping, right?
Usurping. That's what our advanced civilization is built off of. It's built off of Indian burial mounds and grounds and just usurping of another one's right to power.
And I think that connects to like what you were explaining earlier, right? Like about the Dothraki, like not really, what do you call it? Not really needing a grand entrance, kind of, because they're all equal. And it's kind of like whoever is the leader is just the one who can beat the battles, right? Like that's what they said. Like he's never lost one. So, but when he loses it, right? Whenever he loses a battle, then that would just mean that that's the next leader of that tribe. And that's just how it works. It's like once you're dead, that's it. It's like it goes on to the next and the next, and there's always like someone to take the place and fill the seat and fill the shoes.
Right, because like Machiavelli believed that the ends justify the means. So power justifies any action. And usually it was the case where the Machiavellian people who adopted his philosophy, they would have sayings like, morality is not a luxury that I can't afford. So I can't afford to be moral.
Wow.
It's like, it's just not a luxury that I can afford. And power is the only thing that I can afford. It's like, it's the only thing I want. And so they would do anything they could to obtain the power. And really what it comes down to at the end of the day is just obtain the access that a person in power has.
Yeah.
Like that's what people want. Like when people are drooling over celebrities who depict their lives as perfect vacations, perfect access to restaurants, perfect celebrity treatment, perfect hotels and views, perfect everything. Everything's perfect. They crave and they are jealous of the access.
Yeah, but then not knowing what we talked about in other videos about, the higher up you are, the bigger that you are, the bigger the target on your back. And that just goes to show the king within his capital, within his walls, within his castle is in danger.
Yeah.
Because he's the king. So
the king will always be tested.
Yeah.
It's you're always going to have someone who is going to basically say I don't get it. He doesn't look that strong to me. Hold my beer. Let me go test this guy out. And then that's a position where as a king, you cannot back down from that.
Yeah.
Confrontation is something that you should welcome, and not only welcome, but you should be able to spar publicly with grace.
Yeah.
Because the king will always be tested. And that's the whole point of chess. It's they're trying to get the king, but then the king has to have a fortified situation where he remains protected.
Yeah.
It's protect the king at all costs. And I think it what?
No, go.
I just think that's it. Yeah.
I was gonna say what you said about chess is crazy because the queen is one of the most pivotal pieces in chess in protecting the king, right?
It can move anywhere.
And it could also attack the king. It has the most power within the game. So in this sense, we have a queen who's not willing really to protect her king at all costs.
She's not. And
She's
that's
not.
how you know that the king will fall.
Yes. The king is exposed. The king is vulnerable.
Because in chess, if the queen doesn't protect the king, usually you're already at a huge disadvantage. If they take your queen, you're usually at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
Huge. Because that's the one that has the most mobility. And then you have to assume a position of more defensive and less offensive.
And then in this case, Ned, there's the bishops, which is religion, and then there's the knights.
And the tower.
And then there's the towers, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, Ned would probably be the knight or the tower, because they also have the most. I think the tower is probably a pretty strong piece too in protecting the king.
The tower has good movement.
Yeah, it could castle the king, which is the point too. It's kind of
fortifying.
Yeah, you kind of take the frontier as the hand. While the king could just resort into his chambers a little bit and stay more isolated, Right. I think that's part of the point too.
But I also think that the hand has to have an active, it has to be an active kind of dual partnership, which is what I think it was trying to teach us when it showed the people with the white hair.
Yeah.
The brother who wants the throne, he's always being counseled by this other dude who looks like a Plato philosopher figure, right? Who's dressed as a philosopher, and he's basically just filling his brain up with all this kind of sophist kind of teachings, like telling him exactly what he wants to hear and just saying pretty beautiful words.
Yeah.
In order to build his confidence as king. And this guy is a narcissist. You could tell that he's highly self-indulgent, to the point where he's willing to sacrifice his own lineage and his little sister to gain the power. So he's Machiavellian to the T. He's the most Machiavellian so far that we've seen.
Yeah, and what he said was very...
Yes.
I almost forgot about that line where he said that he would let them all
have a turn.
Take advantage of her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because that embodies exactly that. The ends always justify the means.
So he'll stop at nothing, but he doesn't seem to have any kind of backup right now, and that's why he's trying to connect it with the Dothraki. The Dothraki. They seem very,
Dothraki.
But Russian. But yeah, so yeah, their language is very different from all the others.
It's indigenous.
I can't make out any words from it, so it's
all I could understand was no.
Yeah. which is probably not even from his language. And oh my God, the fact that they don't have the word thank you. It's like, it just goes to show that it's like, oh, we don't have manners here. That's basically what that was implying. It's like, there's no manners. That's why at the wedding, like at least 3 people have to die for it to be a great celebration. It's like, there's no manners. There's no worrying about like if exposure or worrying about, being kind of, there's no manners, which is not a bad thing. It's like, but that's their freedom. It's like, we don't have manners. We don't have thank you and please and whatever. It's like, we just do as we please and we do as we want. But that crosses a line, which we see like the way the men kind of like, like interact with the women and like kind of like taking each other's place and like fighting each other for it and stuff.
There's no respect for structure.
Yeah.
Everything is chaos. It's like you can be enjoying a dance and then you can be overthrown and then you can be now fighting for your life and then you could be dead.
Yeah.
So it's a sequence of events where you can usually tell how civilized a culture is by the sequence of consequences that follow certain actions.
Yeah, and quickly too.
Yeah.
Like not in a gradual sense or anything. It's like
so that's why they're viewed as uncivilized and brutes, because it's the lack of bureaucracy basically. It's the lack of the rational steps of law. Yeah. And then you see the ruler just basically not intervene and not reinforce any sense of order into the chaos and just is enjoying the chaos.
Yeah.
Has become accustomed to it and views it as like a form of entertainment for himself. So I think that it showed like their tribe and their people are supposed to represent chaos. Just pure chaos. Because no thank you means that there's no selfless act of kindness.
Yeah.
And maybe kindness towards each other is not really well received.
Yeah,
it's just always like becoming stronger in order to face the leader and then hopefully be strong enough to take his place.
Yeah, like it doesn't exist for them, the idea of like kindness and stuff. Like that's why he doesn't even try to exchange words and communication with his new wife.
No, it's like he's like...
It's like get to know her, a little bit, like something.
Hey, you like McDonald's?
Yeah, it's like, it's like, hey, you like horses? Like something,
Yeah.
She has to communicate to him through a translator. That's really...
And her brother, right, the brother Targaryen, which I didn't get his name, but the brother Targaryen is relying on these people who don't have any sense of continuity and structure to protect him and to serve him. So what is that going to look like? How is that going to, like, what outcome is that? It's not a favorable one because you're seeking chaos, right? A chaotic people to bring you back to your home, which is doing all the work for you and basically making you the king.
Yeah.
So the kingmaker is usually above the king. And that's why the church and religion are the kingmakers. But then one king, I believe it was Napoleon, I keep forgetting, but one king basically turned his back towards the church and snatched the crown from whoever, from the Pope, and then placed it on his own head because he made himself king.
Yeah.
And that's another perversion. You can view it as a perversion, or you can view it as an interesting thing that happened.
But that makes a lot of sense too, because why? What do they owe him to be loyal to him? It's like he's not really. He's offering a wife. He's offering a queen, but that's pretty much it.
He's offering the merging of traditions.
Yeah, but it's like for them, it doesn't even seem like what you're saying. It's like they're not. I don't know, like they don't seem like they're
interested in the politics part of it. Yeah.
And like overreaching for riches and power. Like they have it within their own little tribe. And that seems happy. It seems to suffice for them. It doesn't seem like they're
unsatisfied. Yeah. Cold, and then you see the contrast with the Stark people. Like they're all cold and they're all in their head and they're all thinking about the future, and all the conversations back then and still today too. It's like, oh, like this one's gonna be a soldier, this one's gonna be a warrior.
Yeah.
Oh, you're you're doing medical school at Harvard. Oh wow, so in 8 years you're going to be a doctor, huh? In 10 years you're going to be a plastic surgeon. You're going to be the best in the game. Wow, you're going to be a great one in 10 years from now. It's always about like projection of things that have not unfolded, and that the mind convinces us that these things are more real than the actual reality.
It's always titles. It's always like, you know.
It's always with the idea of bartering with the future and with time was introduced with the introduction of the first coin and monetary value that became a representation of a promise, right? So people like back in the day, they would barter.
Yeah.
So it's my goat for your 6 chickens.
Yes.
Until it became a point where it was like, hey, like, you know that I'm good. You know, like, you know that my word is good for it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm good for my word.
Yeah.
And then your word meant everything.
Yeah.
So if you give somebody your word, I will pay you back for this goat, for these 6 chickens. Your word was now the law. It's like, so-and-so gave me his word. And then that was honor because the word was important. Communicating with people, not letting other people down was important.
Yeah.
Because we were more connected and we had an intricate community. But then, you know, monetary paper and coin became a representation of your word. So the more word you have, the more printed papers of dead ancestors we have, of like dead leaders, you know, of like dead ages.
Yeah.
And we live in a world where we value the representation of ages that have passed in order to secure our future.
Yeah, that really have no
real value.
No influence on today, really. No. Like, you know, not in a substantial way. I have to pee.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyways,
another pee break because I have the tiniest bladder in the world.
A child's bladder. We just realized that it's been going for almost 3 hours now, which we've been talking almost for 2 hours, as usual.
Episode 1.
I
can't even imagine as we keep going, but man, it's a crazy first episode for a show.
Every episode will have its post-viewing discussion, every single one, and we will make sure that that's the case, where we're not going to like jumble things together for the sake of convenience and expediency.
Yeah.
We're going to dissect everything that comes to mind and anything that comes to mind. Okay, I'm literally almost done. Old gods, we talked about. Jon Arryn was the hand of the king who died from a fever, which is just funny, right? Like back then, a fever would take you.
Yeah, and they were their life expectancy was like 40 years old.
That's crazy.
It's like we're doubled now.
And do you think that that's why people usually have a midlife crisis at the age of 40? Do you think that it's because at one point in history, for a span of hundreds of years maybe, it was more common for people to not live past 40?
Yeah.
And then people get to like the edge of the world of their known universe at the age of 40, at the ripeness of death. And they're like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life because I still don't feel what I'm supposed to feel at this moment. You know, but then maybe, just maybe, death is a symbolic thing too. And maybe you're supposed to be dead of yourself by the age of 40. So you're supposed to already have shed your skin and evolved.
Okay.
And caterpillar goes to cocoon and goes to butterfly. You know, maybe that's when God is like, or the universe, the all, the monad, the Sephirets, whatever you want to believe in. You know, the great all, that manifested everything. The primal mover who is unmoved, I think is how the philosopher said, decides that that's the age of like ripeness.
Yeah.
30s, 40s. 50s.
And what's interesting too is that if you take the idea of, because we talked about this on the egg podcast too, but the idea of morphic resonance, which is kind of a theory by Rupert Sheldrake talking about, you know, how all things are connected through a memory field. But then if you take that, for instance, then the reason people who are 40 years old not only have like an existential crisis, but feel like at that point their life is done. Like not literally done, but it's metaphorically done. It's like, okay, I've at this point, like I'm wherever I am is where I am, and it's because of that memory field that's like being stored in our DNA. And so by 40, people feel like whether they made it or not, like that's the end of their life because of the life expectancy once being 40 years old.
And it should kind of have a feeling of like, I should have figured it out by now.
Yeah, which is what you were saying. It's like at that point, it's like that is the turning point, though. It's like that's why we were given another 40 years.
Yes.
Literally duplicate.
Yes.
Like duplicate, the doubled amount of time, because then it's meant to be the end of whatever it was for the first 40 years and the beginning of something else.
Basically, now we've been able to extend it double to what you're saying, right? Like now the life expectancy is like 80s, and we're able to double it. And it's basically us giving ourselves more time to finish the homework.
Yeah.
And the homework being just of the great work that you're placed here to uncover. It's like whatever your great work is, everybody's great work is different. But you're supposed to kind of remind yourself, live to remember, right? So live to remember means live to remember your original connection, the connection of your ancestors, of those that came before you. You know, it's your mom's egg with your dad's sperm. You are the combination of both, but you're also not just those two things, or the one thing that it becomes. You are always becoming. You are always evolving. You are always transcending old habits, old belief systems, old world outlooks and ways of viewing things and people and interacting with the world. And that's what you're supposed to have accomplished by the age of 40 and by the age of 30. And that's why most prophets and most, mythical religious beings usually have their death around 30 to 40 years old. Because that's when they die to themselves, to their old identity, and they uncover this unlimited, infinite nature, which is the universe itself, and their connection with the universe. And then they see themselves as one with the universe, and the universe as one with them. That we are not isolated systems that are completely isolated and completely in a vacuum, erased, removed from the universe, from everything that we see when we look up at the stars. We are the stars. We are stardust. We are star seeds. We have this intricate, kind of intrinsic rather, but also intricate. It's very detailed. It's very perfect.
Yeah.
Everything is perfect, in sacred geometry and the cosmos and cosmology and astrology, and it's all here. My point being, at the age of 40, you're supposed to understand all of that, and not buy yourself a brand new sports car, and not think that you're 17 again, and not think that you're in your 20s again, and not try to chase versions of yourself that you felt better in. You're supposed to let go of that. And that's why people who go through a middle-age crisis, a midlife crisis, they indulge in all of the things that they can now afford because they've accumulated riches over time, and they are now older and more mature, and so they feel like they can now live out the last hurrah, which is all wrong.
Which is all based in like regret and in kind of like self-doubt and whatever.
Longing. Yeah,
versus just like not feeling like you need any of that because you don't. And the truth is that, I was going to say, my gosh.
Longing is what keeps us bound to the matrix that we find ourselves in. It's the wanting, right? So even if you say, I want to be great at something, you immediately imply a lack of something.
Yeah.
So you begin the conversation with the thing that you're trying to avoid at all costs, but you're manifesting it with your speech. Because the ancient Egyptians, they believed as law, as like social law, that the spoken word was a spell. It contained magical properties, the ability to bend reality to the will of the speaker. And they had priests and they had people at higher ranks of magicians who would speak and transboard any obstacle and kind of transcend reality with their speech, with the spoken word.
And I think that that's why for so many years people were more conscious about what they said. They took their time more. There wasn't this rush. And they spoke very eloquently and they spoke very to the point because of that, because speech was, there was nothing written. So there's no text and there's no, not that nothing was written, but like the main.
Not everybody could read or write.
Yeah, so the main form of communication was speaking, and so you had to be sharp with your speaking. You know, you had to be concise and clear.
And those who spoke the best were the ones who were listened to.
Yeah.
But it was not because people just love speakers. It's because like either you're learning how to read or write and speak, or you're surviving.
Mm-hmm.
For a long period of time, humans have always been just in a state of survival. It's like survival and trying to survive different seasons. And finally, thank God, winter is over. Now I'm going to be able to eat normal food. I'm going to be able to eat again.
Yeah.
Because I've been living off of scraps, and my whole family is famished, and I lost 2 children in the storm, and whatever. So people were surviving. So if you were privileged enough, and usually it was the high nobility, the children of high nobility would have the access to all of the greatest thinkers and the greatest minds and philosophers. I think Aristotle was a tutor for Alexander the Great, you know, and so like you have access to these teachers and to this wisdom and to the ability to speak. But then there was a sharp turn in history where the ability to speak became a weapon of mass communication. And that's where politics comes into play. And that's where the sophists enter the stage. Sophists were people who had a mastery of the language and knew how to use the language to their benefit or to the benefit of anybody who hired or who gave them what they wanted. So these were mercenaries of the spoken word. And then today you have mercenaries of violence and sheer brute force. And back then it was not different. And then we still have sophists who are the politicians, but we've changed the names to politicians, people who deal in policy.
Yeah.
Whose profession is to live in that world, you know? And so it's all a stage, just like Shakespeare said.
All the world's a stage.
Yeah, it's all
the
a
players.
Yeah.
And then to your earlier point too about kind of like the individualism of how people tend to live their lives and this kind of individuality and separateness. Like there's a reason the saying goes that no man is an island. It's not just talking about how we need company. It's talking about how we're not separate from anything.
Right.
So you can't isolate yourself because you are connected by no choice of your own, like you just are, and that's just the truth. And whether you would like to come to understand that or not is your choice.
That's beautiful, because that analogy of no man is an island has been used in so many stories, right? Like ancient tellings of a man who gets washed up on shore. He's on a small island. He's alone. He doesn't know if he's alone. And he doesn't know what the animal, the ecosystem, what he's going to be able to eat, what plants are poisonous. He has to discover the island, right? He has to uncover the secrets. But that is a great analogy for what was mentioned earlier with the planet. Like an island basically is a small microcosm of the entire Earth.
Yes.
Because you have the ocean, which makes up most of what you see, and you have the land, who is fertile. You have fish, you have different ecosystems, you have palm trees and wilderness and monkeys, and you have jaguars, and you have all this stuff. It's a small slice of Earth, and that's supposed to represent that even if you're stuck on that island, you are supposed to eventually find out that you are part of everything, even the things that you can't see.
Yeah.
Which is the space beyond where the eyes see. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's the whole Schrodinger's cat, right? If you don't see the cat, does the cat exist? And like that, like people were tripping out. Like that's what philosophy is. Figuring out like what's real, what's not real, what's real in this realm, what's noble, what's virtuous. And Ned Stark has shown to be a virtuous philosopher king.
Yes.
Like he's dealing with his responsibility in an honorable way, where he's weighing these deeper truths against what has been presented to him, which is the opportunity to be the hand of the king. He's weighing the value of family, of love, of like stability. He's weighing the responsibilities of protecting a king's life and all that it entails, risking his own life, accepting his fate of going out and venturing out into the world.
Yeah.
You know, and leaving your family behind.
And not jumping at the opportunity, you know, because most people would just see it as an honor and a privilege and see it for all of the rewards they would reap in literally being the right hand of the king, or whatever hand it is. Like, they didn't specify the side, but
Yes.
the right hand of the king. And I pointed to my left side because I don't know my directions. It's turn left. But then, so the fact that he ponders his decision, very thoughtful, very, he weighs it out, like you said, shows that he might himself be the perfect man to rule, for example, because he's not...
he doesn't want to rule.
Yeah.
The man who resists the crown is usually the one who the crown calls upon.
Yes.
Because the crown calls upon he who... What's the saying? The crown calls upon he who...
I don't know. Want me to search it?
No. But the whole saying is like the crown calls upon he who resisted, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know the specific word, but like that's the premise of it. And so if you resist power, then you're the best one to kind of like be the gatekeeper, be the threshold guardian.
Yes.
Because the goal of an honorable, noble king is to protect power from the eyes of like wolves. Like from the eyes of just ravenous animals who want to take the power and abuse it. So the king a true king protects the power from those who want to abuse it. So the king cannot abuse the power. Because if you abuse power, then you create a environment, a kingdom of instability.
Yes.
Because nature is not abusive. Yeah. Nature is fair and nature is balanced. And that's what a king should be, fair and balanced.
Yes.
So if a king is like nature, and that's usually what the idea was of a king and a queen marrying, right? Like a king represents solar, masculine, constructive, kind of like pushing against boundaries, right? Nourishing. And then a queen is representative of moon energy. It's the unconscious, it's the mind of the king. She controls the mind of the king. So the queen is really in control of the king.
Yeah.
And if the king is in control of the queen, then you have a imbalance. Because if the king believes that he's more powerful than the queen, then the king loses his like favoritism in the terms of like divine benevolence.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
It has to be equal because the king has to absorb the queen and they have to become one. So if there's any idea of I'm like, shut up, and smacks the queen around and pushes her and stuff, then you're not a king.
Yeah.
You're not anything.
No, you're not.
You're just an idiot, a fool.
Abusing the power. And then to what you were saying too, I don't know if you want to...
Yeah, I'll reset it.
Just in case.
I just want to say that this is pretty fun.
But to what you were saying too, about the whole kind of like king who refuses the crown is usually the one that's best suited to be the king. Like, isn't it part of the hero's journey? Like, it's part of it to refuse the call, to initially refuse the call, because the hero will tend to not actually refuse it, because then they do get the call.
Exactly,
but they do tend to refuse the call because they understand the weight of the responsibility that they're going to have to step into, which is why Frodo showed a little bit resistance at first of like, wait, huh? Like, what are you talking about, Gandalf, kind of thing. It's always that thing. Harry having to face Voldemort and kind of still figuring out. It's not like the first movie, he was already ready to sacrifice himself, right? Like, he had no idea what this threat was. So there's always that, like, tending to refuse the call because you understand the gravity of it.
And it's not like Harry was completely reveling in the glory of being the chosen one.
Yeah.
It's not like he lived every life like, yeah, I'm the shit. I'm the chosen one. What's up? You know, like he wasn't living like that. And so I think that to whom the crown is given, much is tested, right? So the crown weighs heavy on those who feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But then most people, like for example, Robert, this is crazy. Robert was wearing the crown, and he was doing everything to not feel its weight.
Yeah,
so through drinking and through consumption and overconsumption, he makes himself numb to the weight of the crown.
Yeah, because heavy is the head that chose to wear the crown,
That
right?
chose to wear the crown.
Yeah.
But then heavy is the head of those who chose to wear the crown, but it's even heavier to those who are chosen to wear it.
Yeah.
Because many are picked, or like what's the saying? Like many are picked and few are chosen.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. It is something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're chosen, if you're not, like, if you resist it at first because you see how heavy and how much of a responsibility, but usually it's the case where in the hero's journey, to your point, it's the self-doubt.
Yes.
It's the imposter syndrome is the first kind of like demon that you have to slay.
Yeah.
It's the feeling of doubt and not being worthy enough, and that's why usually the hero is met with a guide.
Yeah.
So shortly along the initial path of Joseph Campbell's monomyth of a hero's journey, it's like they meet with the wizard, and they meet with the sorcerer, and they meet with the teacher, with the professor, with the father figure. Sorry, guys.
You question your capability,
your power,
because
your potential.
if someone immediately gravitated towards the call, then they're not ready.
No, they're not.
They're not,
because they believe that everything that shines is gold.
Yeah, so that's like a false,
They fall for the illusion.
Yes.
They fall for the spectacle of being queen. Like the girl's name, Sansa. She wants to be queen, and she doesn't even know what that means.
Yeah.
She hasn't even bled yet, which is another interesting thing. Is that it's so interesting how women, like their coming of age and their ceremonial passage from like girl to like woman is usually, especially in the ancient times, marked by when they begin to bleed.
Yes.
Right? And then the boy, the hunter-gatherer boy, his passage of masculinity, his passage from boy to man is usually when he kind of like kills something.
Is exposed to death. Right.
It's the conquering of death. Right? So it's when the woman, or in this case the girl to a woman, presents the signs of the potential for the creation of life. That is when you become respected as a woman, because now you carry with it not that's when you become in these cultures. I just hope that I'm very clear here. But like in these cultures, usually that's what everybody would believe in. It's like, oh, like now she's a woman, right? So you're treated differently than when you're just a girl. And it's because I think it's because like you become you come into these positions of now you carry the weight and the responsibility of being able to create with reality. Like where there was no child, now you can create one.
Yes.
And you can bring life into this world. And think about that. It's like, think about how insane it is to even ponder the idea of birth and replication and creation and the coming together of two beings, regardless of whatever species it is on this planet, and then procreation. It's like it's creation. You are creating with divine, with the flow of the universe.
And then to oppose that, which is what you said, the equal counterpart to a woman, because men are equally responsible in the creation of life. It's not one more than the other.
Takes two to tango.
But the contrast of that is that what we were talking about, like what makes a boy become a man is the exposure of death. But I think that what it really is that, especially in these times, death was something used to instill fear. So that's why the deserter who left before his his comrade got killed, he was saying like, and if you run, like I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you. And the reason he deserted in the first place was because he was scared of what he witnessed, and what he witnessed was something that was a potential threat of death for people. It's like, it was scary, those things, those walkers. But then...
And then what do the walkers represent, right?
Yeah.
It's like they are undead but living.
Yeah.
So they become, it's like always about like what is the vessel and what is the narrative, like what is the vehicle of narration, like what do they use?
Yeah.
And they use a dead body. So a dead body has become animated again, and that's what the guy is afraid of. And the dead body is killing life. So what kills life?
Yeah.
What kills life?
Death. Yeah.
So like zombies represent
death.
Our fear of death.
Yes.
But not just our fear of death, but a perversion of immortality. It's like, oh, like what if there is nothing after this, and what if you just like rot in the ground? And then that's the perversion of it, is all right, so for those who believe that, who have a fear so deep of death and such a weak understanding of the cycles of nature and life and death, and how it's cyclical and eternal, and none of this is ever going to end ever, those are the people that haunts the most.
Yes, the people who think that death is permanent,
is an end,
are the ones who will be the most afraid of death.
Which are the ones who believe in endings.
Yes.
There are no endings, permanent endings. It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
It does not exist. Guys, it does not exist. Nothing ends.
Yeah.
Nothing ends because something new always begins right after. There is no ending. There is no beginning.
It's man.
And that's why, like in most religions, is I am the Alpha and the Omega.
Yeah.
I am the beginning and the end.
And then that's what I was going to say too, is that, look, in order to become a man, right? The woman has to bleed in order to become a woman, to become a mother, to have children. The man has to experience death, right? Which is why the young son experiences it, and he's 10 years old.
Yes.
He has to experience death because he has to learn to be willing to give his life in order to have children. So he has to know all, like, it's hard to explain, but he has to know
the cost
of life
through death.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he also has to know, like, in that moment, he learned a lot of things. Like, he learned the responsibilities of being a lord or being a leader. Is that the one who gives the sentence has to be the one who swings the sword, you know?
Yeah.
So he's being taught these very honorable and valuable lessons. And to your point, like, through that experience of witnessing death, witnessing someone's head come off, their identity too, like, think about that.
Yeah.
Without a head, you can't identify the body.
Yeah.
Right? So you identify the body through the head. And then when you sever both of those, and you sever both extremities, right? You severed the brain, who convinces the self that the self is the body, and that's all the self is.
The brain is responsible for the entire function of the body. Like, it's...
Without the brain, there is no matrix, right?
Yeah.
Because the brain is the believing brain.
Yes.
It's the parasite, but also the tool that we have to find a balance between those two natures. It can become parasitic, where you become over reliant on your brain's kind of like assertion, right? Like it's telling you like what reality is.
Yeah, it's hold on you.
Yeah, it's like limitation, right? Because the brain is limited to what it can process and the sensory input. And so if you just rely on that, then you can't really have forethought, and you can't really have imagination, and you can't tap into your artistic aspects, into your soulful aspects, which science tells us, like, no, you know, creativity is also governed by the brain. And that's true, right? That's obviously true. But then the soul and the spirit is what animates everything.
Yes.
You know, like creation.
Yeah, exactly. Man. And that's why they did beheadings. Wow. It's like
That's why I think. I don't know if that's why.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense though. Because I feel like it makes sense too, because they had a deeper understanding for things back then, because the world wasn't full of like attractions and distractions and and everything being so accessible and so fast paced. So word travels so quickly and false narratives are traveling quickly and there's propaganda and there's all these things. Then it was much harder. Like your word would have to go through a raven and hopefully not get seen by anyone, and your word had to be whispered in rooms. And it's like, because it's like very much like you would have to communicate with hundreds of people in order for it to reach the next person. Yes. Essentially, like one by one, for example.
Word traveled slower back
exactly.
then, yeah.
So I don't know what my point was.
Yeah, but it's a good point though. And on top of that point, I was just going to mention that in New York City, there has been a new statue that if you go on Google right now and you put giant pigeon statue
that
New York
was
City,
crazy.
You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And it's called Dinosaur, and it's an art installation, but it's become like a public attraction. It's a huge lifelike, hyper-realistic, ultra large statue of a pigeon.
Yeah.
And it's called Dinosaur because I don't know how many people know this, but pigeons are direct descendants of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And pigeons during World War I and World War II, they were used in high demand, right? Like that was the main vessel of communication between like parts of the armies or amongst the members of an army.
Yeah.
And people would communicate through pigeons and messenger pigeons, and that's how word got around. And then it wasn't until the advancement of technology and other ways of communication that basically we abandoned these creatures, which we had brought into the United States. We abandoned them, and that's what you see when you walk around New York City and you see a bunch of pigeons in Central Park. That's literally a bunch of homeless, neglected, abandoned, kind of like ancient technology of communication that was used by most people at one point in history, and were direct descendants of dinosaurs, and they were used because they would always find their way back home.
Yeah.
It's like they have an internal GPS, like a literal scientifically proven internal GPS where they always find their way back home.
And we have a habit of doing that, though. It's kind of like integrating things and then tossing it when it's no longer convenient, or doing anything for us. So
yeah, that's human nature. That's what human nature has become. So there's no respect for them. But then there's a huge statue, and I just wanted to add on to your raven thing.
And people are worshipping it, right? Like giving it gifts and hoping for wishes and treating it like a deity. It's like treating it like a god that will grant them their wishes. People are like, I'm wishing for a lower rent. My one-bedroom apartment is costing me $3,000.
I'm wishing my landlord isn't an ass.
Yeah.
It's like that's what people are wishing.
Yeah, they are. Oh man, New York is rough. I don't know how you people live over there.
New York.
The rent is crazy.
I can't be in New York for more than a few hours, and I'm always exhausted.
I've seen like people will fight because it's so limited. Like the apartments that are open for
They fight over apartments?
No, like they fight to get that, like they work so hard to get that one bedroom apartment, for example, or that like little studio, but it's literally the size of a closet, for example, and pay a premium for it.
$4,000 a month.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like it'll have one like little window and it'll look like a hallway. It's like they literally just carved that out and called it a bedroom.
And that's a whole different conversation too. Like we could do a whole podcast talking about belonging, because that's the price that people will go to. Like they're willing and more than willing to pay those hefty prices for the illusion of connection.
Yeah.
It's like being on top of each other, like walking out the street and seeing different people, different walks of life. It does, like, I do get the premise of it. And I do understand that with the more kind of like creative and kind of like let loose you become, and the more understanding you gain from what life might be for you, I think that you do need like a grounding agent. I feel like if you live in the middle of nowhere, you will go crazy. Like you will drive yourself nuts, and people die from loneliness. And so I think that those people, New York City is just something that's always new. There's always nuance. There's always something happening.
Never sleeps, right? It's like
Never boring.
It's a hub. It's like it has all the different
It makes life worth it, because even if you're on your subway ride and you see somebody doing a Shakespearean act in the middle of the subway car, it's like that to you is something unique and different.
Yeah, that's why people say like those cities, it's easy to kind of romanticize your life too. Like if you live in like Paris, or if you live in New
London.
York, or if you live in LA, it's like you could just become the main character of this movie.
Yeah.
That's why most of the movies, it's like it's literally either Hollywood or New York City.
Because it's where the action's at.
Yeah.
And that's what people say. It's like, oh, you got to go where the action's at.
Yeah.
And that's what Texas has turned, because we're both huge fans of comedy.
No, I thought you were going to say we're both huge fans of Texas.
No, we're just huge fans of comedy, and we've seen what has happened with Texas has become the new LA in many ways. And then 6th Street, like I've seen clips of 6th Street, and it's hustling and bustling. Like it looks like you're in the middle of New York City.
Wow.
And it's Texas. It's like that's where the action's at now. And so it always changes. But usually there are the staples, which is Tokyo, Japan, London, UK, and New York City.
Yeah, and then to the whole thing too, it's kind of like if you're affording to live there, but then you're straining to live there.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's kind of like, and it's crazy because these places are, are so inaccessible to most people, like to actually live there and to be able to spend money and stuff. So it's kind of a lot of it is the idea of what you said of like fitting in that way,
People are paying for the feeling that a lot of us had when a school fight would break out in the cafeteria. And you'd be like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. You saw that. It's like people pay a premium for that opportunity every day.
Yes.
It's like, because even if you're grabbing coffee at Starbucks and you see a homeless man harass the barista because she's not letting him use the bathroom, and you see him just poop in his hand and throw it at the barista, and you're there like watching it, and then the person in front of you and the person behind you, like you guys exchange that like few minutes of like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
That's the feeling that people are craving.
We gotta go in there more in New York more and see what's.
The few times I went into New York, I filmed some like weird shit happening.
Oh, I've definitely seen some weird. I've seen like giant rats. I've seen I've seen crazy
I've kicked
stuff.
a few by accident.
Them?
By accident, like you're like walking during dusk at Central Park, and you'll be walking and you just feel something just like hitting your foot.
I mean, I'm sad that you kicked one, obviously. Like, you don't think
not
about
kicked
no,
it
no,
with
no.
intention, but
what made me like gasp was the idea of like if I accidentally came into contact with one of those rats,
I know.
I think I would lose it.
But it's so dark that all you see is just a scribble of like
gosh.
black ink just like moving on the ground.
Mm-mm.
And especially me with my glasses, I don't really like using glasses in public. So I would just like see like I wouldn't even look. I would just be like, I need to get home to New Jersey.
That's
it's like,
me.
Just walk.
That's me. I never wear my glasses, and then I'm kind of like,
Yeah, everything's always blurry to me. Hold on, I have to reset.
just went on like a tangent about New York.
All right. So just quickly, just going through this. Hold on. No more climbing. No more climbing. No more climbing is the whole like restriction, right? It's the whole aspect of like restricting. And we've already talked about the whole like he who climbs is the one who sees. Because if you only stay limited to what everybody else sees, then you won't see anything new.
Yeah, and I think even that saying, like, the higher you climb, the harder you fall, like, is meant to, a little bit, like, it's meant to dissuade people from climbing,
Yes.
It's kind of...
And it's also a cautionary warning to those who want to climb anyways, because you should climb with the understanding and with the knowledge that the fall is inevitable.
Yes.
Right? Because it's cyclical. And that's why even when you become a massive success in life, you should always kind of just make sure that you prepare yourself for winters.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't assume that now that you've become this successful person in this field or whatever it is, that you're just going to experience hot and beautiful summers for the rest of your life. It's It's like winters are always going to find their way to you. So that's what I think it's supposed to teach you.
Yeah, like what goes up comes down, but then it goes up again, and it's the cycle. And yeah, and then we talked about that on the podcast too, which you guys should go listen to.
Check it out. We talked about eggs.
But we talked about Humpty Dumpty, you know, like his fall, but that it's not meant to be just about like irreversibility. Like it's meant to be about the necessary fall, the spiritual fall, the falling from the ego and from the identity, and then rising into a new thing that you get to create, you know, freely.
And the light can only enter the shell if the shell is cracked.
Yes, exactly.
So you have to crack to let the light in.
And that's it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we're almost done.
No, I was kidding.
Jaime Lannister and Tyrion. Tyrion reminds me of Tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
King can't get off his horse. Already said it. Targaryen, Daenerys, Dothraki. Weird sibling dynamic. Okay. Uncle Benjamin, I don't know.
Benjamin, yeah.
Benjamin and speech. Oh, this part. Okay, it's the last one, and I feel like it's a great way to end it for me. The ages have turned the eggs to stone.
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean, right? Super heavy symbolic, like filled with symbolism here. But in our podcast where we talk about eggs, and this is a shameless plug, but it's available on the same channel that you're currently watching this video if you want to check it out. We just talk to each other in our podcast setup, and we just discuss the symbolism behind eggs across cultures. But eggs, right? Eggs are supposed to represent the potential for hatching. It's the potential for birth, for life, right? It embodies that. It's the perfect food. It's the perfect everything. It's viewed as nature's perfect thing. It's nature's cosmic egg, and that's why the egg is usually used in the creation myths to represent the creation of everything that is, because it's perfect and it's considered perfect. But the egg turns into stone. So if something turns into stone, then it becomes stagnant. It becomes it
inhibits the potentiality.
There is no potential.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
You know, like it turns into stone, so it loses all of its potential for life and for creation. And so it becomes useless in many ways. And so that was interesting to me because those are dragon eggs, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's what they are. It's like dragon eggs. So 3 dragon eggs that have laid dormant. And the dragon is usually used to represent the transcendence of the low-life creatures, lizards, snakes, right? Because snakes in many mythologies are viewed both as benevolent forces, but also as malicious trickster deities. And so the snake is one of the only animals who is doomed to navigate this world on its belly, like slithering and like sliming on the floor on its belly. So it's the animal that's the most firm to the ground. Yeah. And so dragons were this psychedelic creation mythology of the artist's design. It's like designing a creature that's reptilian, but that also has access to the realms of heaven. Yeah. And so that's the transcendence of the reptilian brain, the nature of the reptilian mind, because we share a lot of nature with reptiles, essentially, especially with our like following of like leaders and following of patterns and trying to blend in. We overcome that and we grow wings and we become dragons and we hatch.
Yeah, but then also think about how dangerous that is too. You take a creature like a reptile or a snake, and what you're saying, like with the connotations and the implications of them being kind of deceivers and kind of, you know, very morphable, like very, you know,
cold-blooded, literally.
Yes. And then
the key is cold with hotness, fire breathing,
and giving it the access, because that's what wings do, giving it all of this access. So I feel like dragons would be like literally the emblem of danger. It's like, which we see in Harry Potter too, which is why they have to retrieve the egg from the dragon. And then also, which I didn't touch on in our podcast, but like Hagrid had the dragon egg, and as soon as it hatched, it set his beard on fire.
Right.
So it's like,
Chaos.
it's literally the epitome of threat, essentially, of chaos, of,
But it's also the epitome of the journey towards ascension.
Yes.
Because you have to have that, to overcome the dragon, you become more dangerous than the dragon itself.
Yes.
And so you have to embody the dragon. So the souls that you overcome and slay are the souls that you attach to your metaphoric hair.
Yeah.
Right? And so all of the lives that you take are now with you and within you. So if you overcome and you fight a bear, then you are now, you are imbued with the characteristics of that animalistic style of fighting, which is the bear. And then you have Kung Fu. Kung Fu has multiple different styles that are named after animals. So you have the crane and you have the snake, and we see that in Kung Fu Panda.
And then that's why they would wear the pelts of the animals, and then they would kind of after hunting. It's like they would embody the what you're saying, the essence of the animal.
The nature.
Yeah, the nature of them, yeah.
And then what's interesting about the dragon is that the dragon is always fire breathing. So it's a fire breathing dragon. That goes two and two together. But reptiles are cold-blooded. And so this cold-blooded being that's not really cuddly and loving, and that's what makes it kind of dangerous and kind of trickster-like, because it's cold-blooded. So what are its intentions? What are its motives? Because you can't really pin down something that has no warmth, right? If it has no warmth, then you assume death and you assume chaos and you assume destruction. But then it opens its mouth, and then the primeval flames, the spirit, right? The pure spirit weaponized is used to burn away anything that is an illusion. It's burn away anything that isn't real and stable and set in stone, kind of. And so the dragon becomes a threat only to those things that aren't firmly anchored and who can attest the heat of the great test, the heat of the primeval fires of creation.
Yeah.
And that's what the dragons embody.
Yeah, and it's literally mastering of the two, the duality of the two.
Mastering and being able to withstand the heat. The heat of chaos.
Yeah.
The heat of, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The dragons are pretty crazy. But then she has 3 dragon eggs.
Yeah, but they're kind of just
Stone.
Decorative at this point, yeah.
Yeah, they're like Fabergé eggs, right? So she has 3 Fabergé eggs. But it's interesting. It's the symbolism of the egg is always found in these things. It's crazy. You can't escape the egg. You can't, you just can't. But
and it's interesting because she kind of had a fascination when she first looked at them, but then when they told her that they were just stone, you could see it was almost like her hope had disintegrated. She had a little, sense of hope, maybe, for whatever reason, this idea, of what you're saying, a dragon, it's literally something of mythical,
Yeah, and they said that it comes from her lineage too. So so you could tell that her eyes sparked up 2 times, when she saw that the old dude who presented himself and said that he was he served her great grandfather or her father.
Yeah.
So she felt a sense of familiarity. It's oh, thank God. Thank God there's someone here from my lineage. There's someone here from my, understanding.
Someone here to protect me, too.
Someone here to protect me. So then when she was given 3 dragon eggs and told that this is also inheritance from her people, then she's like, dragons! Oh, okay, they'll protect me. And then they said, but it has turned to stone due to the ages. Right? And then to my point, just finalizing it, stoned dragon eggs represent the complete kind of dormancy. It's everything has been dormant.
Yeah.
Everything has been dormant for so long. People have never tried to overcome inner dragons or tried to transcend dragons or to embody the dragon for so long that the tool, the visual cue manifestation of the dragon has just been killed.
Yeah.
Just went to sleep dormant to the point where it turns into stone.
Yeah.
Just crazy. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. It does. Ooh, man.
But yeah, that's my last thing.
I'm like just processing, guys. I don't think you understand what it feels like to be in this state and, you know.
In this like rodeo.
Yeah. Oh,
You're doing great though. Like this was great. This was very fun.
I don't have much to pass
take
this
your
in.
time.
No, I'm just saying because I don't like. I wrote very basic information too, like the names. So just to see if there was anything.
And you've made a lot of great points too. I just want to make that clear.
It's like either way, like I'm having fun, so that's all that matters.
Yes.
There's like a friendship between Ned and the king, which I think is interesting.
Oh, my back hurts. I can't wait to eat. I always get super hungry.
Oh, when the queen called Sansa little dove, I thought that was interesting because she's already making it a point to a little bit ostracize her from her family because there are no doves here where they are. Like, I don't know if doves, because what I associate doves with is kind of spring, right? It's summer. Like it's the resurrection and stuff, right? The Holy Spirit, doves are of the spring, right? That's when the birds aren't flying south, right? So she's literally telling her, you're a little dove, like you're not part of this like wolf pack or part of this kind of so she's implying too that she's little, that she's still weak, that she's fragile, that she's, you know, pure. Naive. Yeah. But then she's also implying like, you don't belong here. It's winter is coming, little dove. Like you, that's why she's kind of drawing her in a little bit and is okay with her coming back. It seems like she's at least she's like preparing for this kind of arrangement that's going to happen between her son, the king's son, and Sansa.
She's planting the seeds of manipulation, of like getting her grasp on this tool of power, because if she bears a child with her descendant, with her blood, then it becomes kind of her interest in like making sure everything is aligned with her wants. Yeah, exactly. So she has to pull the string. So them having this connection through marriage will create the alliance and strengthen and whatever, but then she'll use Sansa as the puppet to pull the strings to kind of like make sure everything falls in line, you know? That's the whole gist. And why it's called Game of Thrones, it's funny because there's already so much manipulation happening. I know. It's like very subtle too, right? Like it's subtle, but that's why I really appreciate really great acting. Yeah. Because even in the scene with the Targaryen girl, like she looks into the camera and she doesn't have to say anything. It's like you can tell everything that's going on with her. Yeah. And pretty intense. I was going to say that I'm completely lost in the setting. It's like nothing is removing me from the setting of this story. The costumes look so real. It's like I've seen like news shows like scrolling on Netflix. It's like these period pieces, but then their costumes look like they're, you know, so well put together. Like it looks like they're like manufactured, like mass produced costumes, like Party City or whatever. Yeah, made for the set. It's like it's costume designed. And it doesn't look like it's worn in. It doesn't look like they're in the setting, but here it looks like they're cold. The first people in the first intro before the theme song, he's literally purple in the face. Like you see the coldness and you see the sadness that comes with living in that environment, because they're supposed to embody like the characters before they even show up on camera. Yeah. It's like before a character enters the scene, the great actors, right, are the ones that live in the embodiment of that reality for that character. Yeah. It's not just like, oh, in action and then you get into the flow. You have to, and that's what method acting is, and it can go off the rail too. Like you get too into the role. You know? But then that's what I mean is like
either they're literally filming this in cold weather, like in the settings that they're in, which I doubt. Like there's no way there's like a wall that like an ice wall that
like
they
has to have CGI components.
But man, I would believe it. Like I would believe that they're filming out in nature, in the cold, in the whatever. It's like they're not on a set. Like if it's the case that there's at least some scenes like actually filmed outdoors, like it looks like it.
Yeah.
And it's very detailed. The people, there's no one that like stands out that I'm like, oh my God, I could tell they're acting. You know,
there's no break of immersion is what it's called.
Yeah, so, oh man.
It's like you don't break immersion for a second where you question the realness of what you're experiencing.
Yeah. I'm needing a show like this though. Like it's, it's kind of like it's fun because you lose yourself in it. Yeah.
And that's the best stuff. It's just like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and John Wick too, like Spider-Verse, It's like you lose yourself in the world.
And this one is fantasy because there's the walkers we see, right? Like there's the undead dead things and there's dragons mentioned and stuff. But it still feels very... it's not too fantasy. Does that make sense? Because you see like politics, you see stuff that translates in real life,
And that is real enough to have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I could see some people back in the day owning wolves.
Yeah.
It's like to me it was like, oh yeah, wolves. But if it was like they found dragons in the woods and it started off like that, I would be like, oh, this is fantasy. Like this is high fantasy. That this is like really, really legitimately whoopty witches and goblins and dwarves. Which is kind of what happened with Lord of the Rings too, and obviously Harry Potter with the magicians and the warlocks and, well, not warlocks, but magicians and witches. And then you have Lord of the Rings with the dwarves and the elves and the elvish kind and different languages, and it's very high fantasy, you know? But this one makes it feel like it's real. Like it makes it feel like it's actually political, and it makes it feel like it's a history piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does.
But then the elements of mysticism and fantasy make it qualify as a fiction.
Yeah, and then kind of like reel you into the story a little bit more, because then there's like that fun aspect where it's like it's not too real.
Yeah.
That you like see too much of,
Yeah, that's why they added all those boobs. It's like put boobs and put shirtless men and use that as a comic relief, because that's what they use. Like when the brother Jamie says like, oh, so I brought you more. It's like that's supposed to be like a comedic relief moment.
Yeah, it is.
It's like cutting from the tension,
He's like, well, let's speed things along. Like, here's your feast. Like, don't go one by one.
Small man has a big appetite.
Yeah, that's crazy. And they were excited.
It's a king. Or it's the king's son.
It's a timer. But yeah, man, we have lots to say for one episode. I don't know how this is gonna pan out by the last episode.
I know.
The little sister is very different from Sansa, Arya. She seems like she was like wearing the knight's helmet and stuff, and she was like sitting on whatever. I don't know if it was like a statue or something, but anyways, she's very different, and it seems like she's gonna be kind of like that rebel trope, where it's like
the rebel archetype.
Yeah, like where like she's like showing a disdain for sewing, and she's like looking at her sister like, ugh, like look at you getting praise for sewing. Like, how does that make you feel, kind of thing. I don't even think it's a jealousy. I think maybe there is like an undertone of jealousy, where it's kind of like maybe she's seen as the ladylike, very pretty, very whatever, idealized daughter, right, girl and stuff. And then, but I also feel like I don't think it's jealousy, because she seems so happy shooting the bow, for example, like going in, jumping in with her brothers and then just shooting the bow and stuff, that I think that she is more kind of like has like that eye roll, like rolling the eye attitude towards these conventional ideas, like these traditional ways where the girl marries the prince, and then
becomes a queen,
and then has a family, and then that's it. Like that's the end for the lady.
Yes, Sansa has the maiden archetype.
Yes.
Right? It's the girl who's being groomed and prepped for a role.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment you have a daughter and you realize it's a girl, then that girl gets confined to a label and to an entire life. It's like a life is bestowed upon her. And then Arya seems like she's the rebel archetype who pushes against the stuff that are traditional, like towards tradition.
Yeah.
And that's why she excels in everything else other than those things that are in alignment with the role that she is technically supposed to be fulfilling.
Yeah, like she's blatantly like,
going against it. And she excels at the archery, and she's better than her brothers, and she's like good at stuff, and she's good at aiming, and she's good at targeting. And that's what upsets, the sister when she throws
oh
food at
yeah,
her.
that was funny.
Yeah.
But even that, see, it's like no proper manners, right? Like no proper, like in a feast for a king, right? It's like when you have to be the most proper, apparently, like when you have to be the most cautious and walking on eggshells, kind of. But she's just like, nah, like I'm gonna just do what I want, and that's it.
And you could see that her dad, Ned, like when she stumbles into the lineup of people waiting for the king to arrive and she's wearing the helmet and she's like wandering and she's lost and she's kind of being reckless, the king doesn't scold her into being a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he kind of allows her to explore her own nature.
Yeah.
And her nature is that of a rebel, it seems, like she's not doing all the rehearsals with the tea and the stuff, and when she did that thing to her sister, all the boys at the table laughed.
Yes, the brothers, yes.
So she has a stronger bond with the masculine spirits, it seems.
Yeah.
Instead of the whole like proper and kind of being confined and just being a wife and just being a queen and just being,
Yeah.
So it's evolving. Overcoming stereotypes.
I feel like I'm really liking the rebel, like the more rebellious, and not the twins, not those.
No, not that type of rebellion.
Yeah, but I'm really liking the other rebellious characters. But yeah, I'm almost done. I said that this is kind of like a call to action for Ned. Mm-hmm. Like I think that everyone has like a hero journey. And the reason we're introduced to Ned first is kind of to watch him embark on his journey, which is if he's going to step into the role as the Hand of the King and what that's going to look like.
And how he makes that transition, into a new setting.
Yeah.
And how he accommodates himself within a setting where power is always fluctuating. It's always changing hands. And then he's the Hand of the King.
Yeah.
And so whoever is king, I'm assuming that the hand stays, or if the new king decides to kill the hand,
yeah,
then that's a choice that he gets to make, So it's like his life is up for gamble.
Exactly. And it definitely is because the other Hand of the King died.
Yeah, that's why.
Got killed or died. We don't know for sure yet. We assume that it, from the sister's letter, that it was a murder.
Mm-hmm. There's a conspiracy.
But then, to my point is that it's a given that his life is up for gamble. That's the whole weight. So he's already putting his life on the line.
And he's acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And he's still doing it.
I have a different time, different king. I wrote that the Dothraki people are very primal, the way that they, the way that they treat the women and then the killing. It's all very, literally the
primal,
the most primal acts. Yeah, it's sex and killing and violence,
partying, socializing.
That's it.
Intercourse and power and brute strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just interesting. And then no word for thank you.
Because in a society where there is no democracy and much less any sense of diplomacy, and no structure, then the biggest dude is gonna rule, basically. Like, that's usually how it goes. Or the biggest woman or the biggest dude in the group of whatever, the most powerful and strong and brute strength is the one who's gonna decide who eats and who doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's how they live.
Yeah, exactly. It's just whoever is the most superior, quote unquote. Like,
Yes.
that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all I have, because I touched on so much. Like, while we were talking, like, we've been talking for a while, you know?
For like almost 3 hours at this point.
Damn.
And all for the first episode of this series. So
It makes sense, though. It's like, first episode is the laying foundation blocks of any episode. It's the pilot. It's like, right?
Yeah, it's like when you first board the plane, essentially.
Yeah.
And you're like looking and you're feeling it. And yeah. But I can see us, because of the nature of our channel, I think that, like, we never have a time constraint.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll always talk as long as we're not just blabbering and saying useless stuff, in a sense of like, no, I mean, like, you get what I'm saying, right?
New York.
No, but that's,
I'm like
that's not what I mean, though. No, I genuinely mean, like, when we just keep talking until we feel like we've hit we've hit all the points, essentially.
Yeah.
And then however long that takes is my point. Like,
I'm just joking.
But you didn't say anything unvaluable. I need you to know that.
I don't think that. I'm literally just kidding. Like, I ramble on so much, guys, especially like in this state, because, you know, your thoughts are kind of like fleeting too. And I'm like trying to hold on to my thoughts, but then these new thoughts are coming, and then it's like, whoa, you know?
That's the fun of it for me. It's like, I just, look, I had a lot of fun, and like, I just keep doing this because I just want you to truly believe that you did well.
I had fun.
Okay, great. That's it. That's all I want. Okay? That's it. It's like weird now because you're like,
No, I'm just saying, like, like that's it, you know?
All right. Then that's it. You don't have to make it weird. It's all good.
I guess I just get shy, you know? Like,
you don't gotta be shy, mate. You ain't gotta be shy.
I'm shy. I can't take a compliment, so just, you know.
I know, me neither.
That's what it is. I can't take a good, like, you did a good job, because also, it's funny. Like, I'm just not even used to, like, hearing it, you know. So.
Oh.
And now we're going into the therapy portion of this episode.
Therapy. But yeah, so that's all I have to say. But then each episode is my point. Like, we're always going to speak everything that we have to speak. So there's no promise on, like, lengths of episodes. And that's very characteristic of what we've built on this channel, is an expectation of sorts to always give our all to everything that we cover, everything that we experience. If it's a podcast episode, trying to tackle a topic in its completion and in its entirety, we're going to devote everything we can. And if it's us gaming and covering a video game, we're going to have conversations after we experience it also, so that we make sure that we cover everything with the intensity and with the attention to detail that we imagine that the creators of these things put into every single piece.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to just experience it as a guilty pleasure or as a means of just experiencing and feeling something, but then we're going to try to, you know,
try to peel back the layers.
Yeah, and just like use it to open us up to you guys more, and just use it as conduits. It's like everything's a conduit to a different aspect of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all just, you know, hopefully that makes sense.
It does make sense.
But with that being said, do you have anything else?
That's it.
Now I'm very hungry.
Me too. I'm always so hungry after these.
We're both going to eat something, and then we're going to also knock out. And then tomorrow we're going to sit down again, because this is exposure therapy. And this is it. It's like, now it's just keep going and going and going and going.
That's it.
And kind of like don't look down and close our eyes and just keep looking forward and just keep moving forward. And just keep going.
And thanks for joining us in on during this ride, you know?
Yeah, this ride that has just begun.
Yeah.
And with that being said, thank you so much. And don't forget that it's never wrong
to be mentally gone. Peace to the world.